This is the death run, so when we last left off, Ashton was killed by the possessed Hannah, shot by his spear. And now we pick up with Chapter 7, Luke Wright. Another long and exhausting day of work, and I still have much to do. Sometimes I wonder why I still bother. I can surely afford to retire, leave the business to trusted colleagues. Even if they make enough to only break even, I have enough money to last us a lifetime or three. I could send 7 children to college if I had any, not that I plan to. But the problem is obvious, isn't it? I don't trust any of the lot. It has to be me, because they might get it wrong. I don't want to retire and suddenly wake up one day only to find that everything has gone down the shitter.
Christ, I'm knackered. Who do I have to kill to have fewer problems around here?
I'm not really allowed to complain. I chose this path. But that doesn't stop me from doing so as I throw my shoes off and let them land wherever they please. Petty maybe, but there's a certain joy that comes with stepping on the carpeted staircase with nothing but my socks on. I'll accept no distractions. I can call up Johannes for a sandwich, but that's probably it. I've got a suitcase filled with contracts to check over and sign before I can retire for the night. I'm also waiting for a call from Suarez for any new updates regarding IT leaks, a real cause for concern. It's the reason there have been investigations on me. Had it been a new thing, I would have let it run its course. But it's been going on for far too long, nearly 3 years, for me to just take on a passive role in the affair. I've only kept my head in this far because I've managed to mitigate most of the damage with several favors, and some grand puppeteer to ensure the high-profile law enforcement and government officials keep me out of trouble. But who knows how long that can stay that way. Powers are shifting and the current can be unpredictable. This whole exit business is already shaking things up and upsetting the balance. Lucille Mitchell, Luke Wright. 31 years old, president and CEO, British, high school dropout, privately tutored, likes bread pudding. Prostitute son, spent childhood roaming the streets. His mother was drunk. He was always in trouble. He was happy for a while when his mother decided to take better care of him, but she ended up dying early and left him orphaned until a businessman came along and adopted him, only to groom him to inherit his business and enterprise. And that ended up dragging him down into some illegal activities. So, that's Luke. It's only with great care that I stay where I am, but the smallest of efforts can unravel all that I've done. It certainly won't help if I'm being accused of things, whether I'm guilty of them or not, because some computer chump thinks he can play a game with me. And, well, shit, it'll be a miracle if I get to sleep tonight, though that is hardly surprising news. But before I can even take a step into the study, a voice from the bedroom calls out to me.
Luke, darling, you're finally home. Why don't you be a dear and come in here?
And I hesitate for a moment. I have to do work. I have work to be done. But I suppose greeting my wife as I get home is only proper. I've already been gone for most of the week unless I needed to be here for work on the house. So, with a sigh, I head towards the bedroom. Ooh, wow. Okay. The feelings that came to me as I entered the room are definitely mixed. Oh boy. For one, I am somewhat floored by the sight that greets me. And then there is confusion. Exasperation is strangely there as well. And to be expected, there is desire. She is a divine goddess, or rather, she is a horrible temptress. What man wouldn't be attracted by that? I guess there could be a sausage jockey. But that is beside the point, and is not relevant to the situation I found myself in right now. And this is nice and all, but why does she have to go and do this now of all nights?
My love, the bed is awfully cold without you.
Slutty Hannah. The matter of the fact is, I've never seen Hannah all primed up like this since our first year of marriage. There must be something special to bring on such an act. Our wedding anniversary has already passed, so that can't be it. Hannah's birthday is in April, and mine is in August, so it can't be any of those either. So what in bloody blazes brought this on? Is Hannah drunk?
Why don't you just, take a rest? I'll be busy all night.
Is that answer too cold? I don't mean it to be. She certainly doesn't look amused. And fuck, if it doesn't feel wrong to refuse sex for my wife when I was all too happy to bang Mary Ann into her mattress. Of course I was drunk, but still.
Come on over and stop being a boring old man. Work can wait.
Maybe I can entertain her just for a while. It is an tempting idea. Yes. Go on to the possessed Hana. You know, the ghost wants you. But no, I'll never get any work done that way. And imagine how horrible it would be to get a call from Suarez in the middle of a shag. That would certainly kill the mood and piss me off more than anything. It'll be even worse if Kylie steals the phone from him, as the little anchor biter is prone to do unless her father is locked in her room. Just thinking about the possibilities is weird and turns me off from even trying anything.
I'm afraid it can't, Buttercup. But hey, it's Sunday tomorrow. We can go out for dinner right after. Somewhere nice like that Italian restaurant you wanted to try out?
Why don't we skip dinner tomorrow and eat out tonight?
Oh boy. Okay. Context?
Whoa there, why don't we slow down? Looks like someone is in the mood, but hey, there's a time and place for everything.
Okay. I grew up in a house where sex was a constant thing. It's just what the body does, more or less. Sometimes it comes with social implications, supposedly, with paper-thin walls and a mother. That horrid job of hers made me think that way. But I learned later on that it wasn't the case for everybody. Suffice to say, this is really odd, for her at least. I'm quite sure she never grew up in a sexually promiscuous home like I did. She grew up with a well-to-do, normal, and decent family. And in the 7 years we've been married, she's never acted this aggressive about sex. We do it when the mood comes to that, but never like this. And when I'm in the mood and she isn't, that's about the time I go around town to have my back scratched. I've got nothing to be guilty of, I believe, as long as it's just lust and not love. My night with Mint was just that, sex. She was a beautiful woman, I was extremely drunk, and we were both consenting adults to some degree. Seeing as Hana had been busy with one of her many parties, I thought I'd take the opportunity to slip out. That's a good way to explain it, I guess. I'm just really confused and trying to come to grips with reality as it is presented to me.
Well, this is the place, but now is not a good time, darling. Like I said, I have plenty of important work to be done.
Luke! Do you want to be murdered?
Any other night, this would be great. Excellent, splendid. But not right now, okay?
I suppose if that's what you want. I can have my prince another time.
A chill runs up my spine as she calls me that again. My prince. Is she going through some midlife crisis? I know she's not the sort to play pretend with that sort of thing. Now that I think about it, this is probably some dream. Perhaps I've been exposed to something? Jesus, I've gone and fucked my own brain over. That can be the only explanation, or at least the only explanation my mind wants to accept right now. But if it were, I should probably accept her offer, no? But on the off chance it isn't, I shouldn't. Either choice fuck someone over. Quite literally at that.
Yes, that's right. Another time. So if you could put your dress back on. It's really chilly right now, isn't it? You don't want to catch a cold if we're going out tomorrow.
Thankfully, she's done as she told, which puts this strange episode to an abrupt end. Unfortunately, she had to put her dress back on so painfully and seductively slow, I suspect she knows the things she's done to me. As much as I'd like to have the engine running, there are other things to be done to make sure we can keep on enjoying a glamorous life as we do now.
I'm starting to think you don't find me beautiful anymore.
Is that what brought this on, then? You are an angel. A goddess, Hana. Of all the flowers in this garden, you are by far the most beautiful and rarest of them all. Every bloke would want to be with you, and every lady would want to be you. I'm sure it goes the other way around, too. I'm lucky to have you, and I don't know how you put up with the likes of me. I'm really sorry, darling, but it really isn't a good time.
I don't quite think little Luke... little Luke... is up for some fun just yet either. Not after the blow he had been dealt by a violent ginger harpy. Oh yeah. If you remember that when I think we were in Becca's route and Becca saw Luke with Kylie at the restaurant and she kinda gave him a swift kick to the Okay, well, enough of that. It does hurt me to see her upset because of something I've done or said. It always does. One can't always get his or her way, though. At least, society would like you to believe in order to soften the blow of disappointment. And I'll have to take their side on that just this once. Pulling her in for a hug and a peck of the cheek, I'm quick to pull away before I change my mind and make it more than that.
Chin up and smile. You'll get wrinkles frowning like that. And beauty sleep helps.
Of course, my prince. I suppose I can do with the sleep.
The smile that lights up on her face is enough to make me forget about the oddity that has just transpired. I still don't understand this whole prince thing, though I'll let it slide for now. Seeing her with golden locks and that silver dress, it almost makes her queenly, with due respect to her majesty, of course. Despite that, there is something just off.
Hana, before I go, what happened to your necklace? The blue diamond.
The fact that she seems confused feels off.
Whatever do you mean? Oh, that old thing. It's somewhere in the vanity drawer, I think.
Yeah, it's the necklace she picked up at the end of her route. Underneath the dresser in the attic. And to be so aloof about it?
But wasn't that from your father?
It was a priceless heirloom, to be exact, handed down from one generation of Evans to the next, whether it be to a wife or a daughter of an Evans. I know that Hannah treasures it so, especially after it was given to her with her own mother's passing. Then, what is it with that ugly thing dangling around her neck? It looks more like a choking hazard than anything.
It was, of course it was. I just thought a change would be nice.
I don't think I've seen her wear anything else in its place. A change it is, but not an entirely welcome one at that.
I see. I suppose that makes sense. Well, not that it matters, but I like the old necklace better. At the very least, we can have it cleaned and polished while you're not wearing it. Remind me to have that done in the morning.
Whatever you wish, my prince.
Right. You have a good night then, Buttercup.
With a shake of my head, I don't waste any more time than I've done already. Heavy suitcase in hand, I head straight into the study and dive right into the contracts. There's a whole stack of them too, mostly to do with property management. Nevertheless, careful work needs to be put into them, as with everything else. My attorneys have already checked them over, but I like to be precise. I'm not going to sign if there's even a single line I do not like. It's a long way into the night when a coldness envelops the room. I suspect at first that it's merely just the usual chill, but the heaters have been turned on as the strange sunny weather that's been gracing us of late has come to an end. The door is barely open just by a crack, though I shut it in case that might help. Satisfied, though not as much as I would have liked, the room still feels freezing. I make my way back to the mess of documents waiting for me at the table. Just a few more, and I can get that well-deserved rest, get out of this place, and dive into the warm comforts of my bed. Then, maybe, if Hannah's still up for it, well, it's more than enough motivation. Parking my rear back onto the chair, I begin my work with the last of the blasted papers, more than ready to be done with everything and turn in for the night, only for another chill to startle me to stop, and that's when I feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. Eyes boring at the back of my head, a brush of air at the nape, and when I glance back... Oh god. Reflected in the lone portrait on the room, someone stands behind me just by the study door I closed minutes ago, though I did not hear it open. Perhaps it is Hana trying to be sneaky, or Johannes being a bellend of the spook as usual.
Do I really have to ask people to knock before they enter? Seriously now, this is anarchy, and I'll have you know...
I turn, but there's nothing.
Huh. Must have been a trick of the light.
Must have been, eh? It's certainly not a ghost.
Oh, it is getting late, and I should really go to bed myself. Just have to finish looking over a few more contracts, and...
Yes, just finish signing these and I can have some rest. Maybe arrange for a day off in the morning. Sighing, I steel myself for a long night of dry paperwork. Luke returned home exhausted from work, only to be greeted by a very clingy Hannah. Although her advances were appreciated, this abrupt change in her unnerved Luke. The man gently let her down, before quickly retreating to his study. Late in the night, however, gotta quick change one of these settings. Still, the feeling that I'm being watched stays with me all through the night. It's now Sunday. And with the sun rising comes another disturbance, both too loud and too sharp for my tastes. And I have very fine tastes. When the piercing ring of a doorbell reaches even the study, I'm very much inclined to think the person who built this place lacks any sense of it. Perhaps the only thing good in this is that the ruckus has chased away the needling guilt from last night's commotion, if only temporarily. Still, it's bloody annoying distraction. I can already tell that it's going to be a long day. It hasn't even started. Before the racket even lasts another minute, I'm peeling myself off the chair and heading straight for the main door. There will be a murder today if this doesn't let up. How quaint. It seems everything in this blasted universe is intent on getting in my nerves as of late.
Gordon Bennett! Only a Nancy would knock at such an ungodly hour!
In the first place, I shouldn't be the one doing this. That's why I hired a valet, for fuck's sake.
Where's that damn butler when I need him?
I'll be honest, if only for today. With the mansion this quiet at this hour of the morning, it's easy to believe those little ghost stories might be real. But the only horror here is how my odd wife has been acting as of late. There's no place for fear when another set of problems already burns that fuel. So I waited for another second. When no butler still answers my call, I simply yank the doors open myself, perhaps with more force than needed. What? Okay, what? Have I done something wrong? Excuse me? What? Today's the 30th. You're dead. How are you here? You literally died. You died on the 28th. Oh, no, that's July. I don't know what day you died. Did you die on the 30th? When did you get taken in? What day is today? Oh boy. Today's Sunday the 30th. And this has thrown me through a loop. Zachary looking for... Oh, okay. Okay, I get it. I got my days mixed up. Even someone with half a brain knows not to disturb anyone this early. Brief confusion quickly gives way to anger, and before the bloody photographer can even get a word in, I'm hurling venom at him. It's less than he deserves, really. Hannah will disapprove, scold me for treating the photographer with such disrespect if she hears me right now. She seems fond of him after all, despite meeting him only once or twice. He's merely doing his job, she'll say. But she's not here, is she? What she doesn't know...
You? How the hell did you get in here? What in 7 hells do you want? It's bloody 6 in the morning!
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
Oh, it's not a good time! Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't!
This is still my home. My rules also apply to this place as much as Hana's do. As simple as that.
Unlike you, the ones living in this house need to sleep.
It just so happens that it's also a person I will never take a liking to. No need for remorse.
Come back when people are actually awake, or I'll call security on you.
He continues shouting even as I slam the door in his face. Some nonsense about the news lately, though I don't understand most of it. However, with the closed doors muffling the better part of it, and with no ears to listen, his tirade doesn't last too long. Eventually, he leaves and silence once again fills the room as it should. In hindsight, maybe I should also call for psychiatric services? He certainly sounds mental just screaming like that. A suspicious man like him left roaming the immediate grounds? Nothing good can come of it. But if his presence will indeed bring a problem, it's a sign of bad things to come, I'll probably know soon enough. Worst comes to worst, Johannes will take care of it if need be. It's what I'm paying him for. In the meantime, I need rest, even just for a few hours. My lovely wife's still fast asleep when I finally join her in her bed. She feels a tad bit warm to the touch too, but it's nothing to worry about, I hope. As odd as she's been acting lately, her company's nice after spending long, grueling hours going through business documents. Then again, it's not like I'd be losing out on much if I take a break or two. In fact, all I have to do is say the word, and Advanced General Electronics stocks are going to go down. And that's the least I can do after Rochelle's Vance outburst during the party. I highly doubt that she will be Rochelle Lee for long, not if Harvey has any sense in him. So with a sigh, I drift off, setting my problems aside, if only for a few hours. Not long into it, though, perhaps only a few minutes in my mind, a knock interrupts my attempt at getting some rest. Checking the time on my phone, however, shows that it's just 8:30. Still too tired, but what can I do about it? Getting up is an entirely different problem on its own. Waking up after getting only a few hours of sleep in has my body stiff and sore and my mind feeling lethargic. A part of me wants to go back and doze off again, an alien feeling to me. But it's already too late, far too late for my taste, and on the second round of knocks, I reluctantly peel myself off the bed and answer the door, only to be greeted by none other than Shrokin and his grumpy face. The sight of it is enough to dampen my own irritation, and I can only follow when he gestures towards the hallway. I have questions as to why he would bother me at this hour in the morning, but going by the grim, or rather grimmer than the usual air about him, it must be something serious. The man stands there as relaxed and cool as can be, but his eyes hold an intensity that promises nothing but trouble.
I do hope I wasn't interrupting anything.
Well, I did want to sleep, but apparently the world conspires against me.
What do you want?
If you wish to sleep so badly, feel free to tuck yourself back in bed. I thought you ought to know that we've had an intruder.
And sue me if that doesn't pique my curiosity. Intruders, thieves, who would dare set foot into my house and try to rob me were rare. If they had any form of experience, they'd have an idea not to mess with the rights, no matter how tempting our riches may be. But that did not mean attempted robberies didn't happen. What was strange about this one is the fact that Johannes thought it was important to bring to my attention. Oftentimes, they deal with pests because I wouldn't really care about how they take care of it,
This
so...
needs my attention, why? Are they any danger?
Actually, I think I'll let you be the judge of that. He's down in the parlor. Come on.
I glance at the bedroom door, hoping to goodness that Hannah will remain fast asleep before following him downstairs. Through the foyer. And into the parlor, where the familiar man sits unconscious, tied to one of the chairs.
I thought I heard something scurrying around. As it turns out, it's a giant rat. And one that had pretended to be a harmless mouse, too.
And he's still alive, isn't he?
It's hard to tell with the way his body is too still, breathes too light. But it is there, the subtle rise and fall of his chest. Its presence lets me breathe a sigh of relief. A death caused by one of my men is normal, to be expected, really. A dead body I can deal with, it'll just be one of the many I've seen. But if one turns up while the missus is at home, I'm not too thrilled with the idea.
I saw no reason to do more than incapacitate him. Of course, that can be remedied if you wish.
No, it's... This is fine. He wasn't trying to kill us, was he?
If he was wholly unprepared. But I do not think he had such nefarious purposes.
After working on business papers overnight, Luke hoped to get some rest the entire day, only for his plans to be derailed when his butler called his attention to a problem in the foyer.
He is a big man, but he seems too soft to be a hired killer. A common trespasser or petty thief, maybe. Certainly nothing more.
If a petty thief dares to try anything against me, people are forgetting their place. He's to be made an example of. A guy slacks off for once, and everyone thinks they can get away with taking advantage. His thieving ways is going to be the one-way ticket behind bars. It's only as my anger washes away that I realize that the sun is starting to rise off into the horizon. And I can only feel annoyance at myself for missing another night of sleep.
Call the police then. Let them round him up and bring me some bloody coffee while you're at it.
Thankfully, he leads me to my own simmering as I take one of the free seats. And while waiting for my drink, I find myself staring at this man. I can see why Hannah took an interest in
I
him.
was talking with Zachary, the photographer for Luxury Living.
Hannah is nice, but that doesn't mean she befriended every John and Jane from the street.
He was a perfect gentleman, Luke. I can't say the same for you as of recent.
Look at the man you called a perfect gentleman now, dearest.
Look, Luke, nothing will happen. You have to relax. It was just a friendly chat.
A friend who takes advantage of someone who has shown them kindness. Truly, such soft hearts could not survive in this world for long. Hannah is only so lucky that I am here for her. Who better to protect her from monsters than the worst of them all? And as it always does when I'm in such a situation, the power I wield hits me like an unnatural high. It's something else when I can hold a man's life in my hand without resorting to murder. A person is as good as incarcerated the moment I send them my Harvey's way. And this makes me wonder if I can make luxury living grovel, beg for my forgiveness because of the crime committed against me by one of their staff. Deep in my thoughts, stuck in this power trip that rushes through me, I barely notice we have company until Johannes puts a cup of coffee in my
Officer
hands.
Carl and his colleague are here to collect. They'll want your statement.
And as he says, there are two officers by the door. Though I can't even bother to spare them the slightest of glance before looking back at the unconscious gollywog.
If they need my statement, I'll give it to their chief. I'm due a visit to a good friend anyway.
After my coffee and a bit of breakfast, of course. Once I'm done breaking my fast and after a cool shower, I call for Johannes to drive me to the police station so that I can give my statement. Through it all, Hannah still slumbers. The way she remains undisturbed, even with the commotion, they'll think she somehow has contracted a sickness of some sort overnight. And true enough, the moment the back of my hand touches her forehead, she's burning up. It's unfortunate there's no time to worry about this, as much as I want to care for her. There's urgent business demanding my attention elsewhere, and with the rest of the staff away, and well, our marriage may have gone through a rough patch recently, but I do feel as if I'm neglecting her like this. It doesn't help that the only thing I can do for her now is to place a cloth dipped in warm water on her forehead and leave a bottle of medicine on her bedside, and instruct Shrokin to schedule an immediate appointment to her physician. I just hope that this trip to the city won't take too much of my time, nor further ruin my mood. The ride to the precinct is a quiet affair. I'm in no mood for idle chatter with what little sleep I've had. Not everything is smooth sailing, however, as soon as I arrive at the precinct either. But as they say, a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. It would be more suspicious if everything had gone on without a ruckus. And it would be more boring too, because who doesn't love a good fight and a bit of drama? There's nothing quite like beating your opponent down and making them learn who's the boss. If life just slumped over, there would be no point in even trying, but I would be much happier if nosy detectives stopped being, well, nosy. That boy Feathers just riles me up. With the way he looks at me, it's as if he's better than me. I saw it in his eyes, the righteous fury and the belief that he's some saintly good guy and I'm the villain that he needs to take down. I have no doubts that he was a word away from trying to assault my person, and I wish he had, if only so I would have had proper legal grounds to get him in a whole lot of trouble. I so hate men like him. I came out looking the civil gentleman between the two of us at the very least. But it does no wonders for my mood, and I have to retreat to Harvey's office to cool myself down. Just needing to do legwork to bring myself to this precinct always does sour the day for me. It always means I have to fix something. Always annoying. So here I am with a bored glance at the view of this place. Johanna stands outside like a good guard dog and makes sure no one enters unannounced.
I'm so sorry about what happened out there, mate. But you know how it is with these officers. All testosterone and ranking.
Well, you need to learn how to keep your men in line better, mate. But I didn't come here to talk about these hot-headed daft villains. They could be dead from the neck up for all I care.
He has the propensity to forget one tiny detail. I own him. I want to seethe in rage, remind him who exactly the boss here is. I very well can, thanks to the wonders of soundproofing. But the stressed and nervous expression on his face stops me from giving him the tongue lashing. It would really do me no good to be at odds with him when he does prove to be a useful ally from time to time. So I listen when he speaks, focusing on the smell of coffee and cigarettes that filled the room in order to curb my tongue. For now. But boy, when you let a man like Harvey Lee speak, he speaks a lot.
Look, all I'm asking is that you be a bit patient with them. You do realize a good chunk of them don't work. They aren't with you, so to speak. Bunch of kids who think the police are superheroes or some cock and bull. They don't know how things work around here. Especially that Frey boy. The lot of them are just tired.
And why are you telling me this?
I was going to ask you if you knew anything about it. Perhaps one of yours know. There's been a string of unfortunate incidents as of late. Just recently some bloke named Christian Sy was acting all nuts. Off his rocker, that man. And we had to hold him, thought he was drunk. Up until he started bashing his brains in. Now he's a vegetable in a hospital bed. Another time, some Mark Julius was reported missing. Some are thinking we've got a serial killer on our hands as of late. That Cooper lady from BRC got done in, and a Father Norman, too. Bloody hell. Even that Santos girl. She was our detective's friend, you know? Though I keep telling him not to let his emotions get in the way of the job. You have to understand, mate, in a place as peaceful as Luxburn, this makes people wary. Reported crime rates go a bit higher than usual, and it makes them antsy and temperamental.
Are you implying that I have anything to do with them? Because as much as I hate to say it and admit, I am out of the loop. This is the first I've heard of these incidents.
Really, I'd say it. I'm insulted, but this is par for the course. Harvey knows who and what I am. We have a deal of sorts, after all. Crime is always expected in a society with laws and with humans who are allowed their free will. But why not strike a deal with the devil to make sure that said crime has some order, at least?
Well, that's a shame, I suppose. Figured if we could get any leads, it'd be from you.
I can't stop the scoff that leaves me. Can these police officers really be so incompetent? The chief of the damn police force seems to find it amusing, however. Because as far as I can see, whether he believes it or not, he's gone it easy in our little deal. He just has to sit back and relax, let me do my thing, and not turn against me while he gets to live a comfy life. But perhaps that's why I haven't killed him off yet. His predecessor to the position wasn't so agreeable.
You know, someday I'll stop turning in my own men when they piss me off. And what will you do then? You and your men will all be lost without me.
I'll just hope that when the time comes, I'll already be all wrinkly and retired then.
It's a play of his, it always is, to act all casual and chuckling and everything, like it doesn't faze him. Pretends he's one of those kind, wise old men type, so that people can't even bring themselves to be angry at him. But I've seen him drunk off his arse, been owning his fate, what he's become, though he tries to be as vague as he can in even his inebriated state. And I've seen the malice this man is capable of. That is why it confuses me with how he reacts to what I say next.
So what is our little gollywog looking at?
Now, there's never a time or place for that kind of racist talk, son.
He cuts me off in a firm tone before I can say anything further. There is steel in his eyes, and he near slams his face on the table when he does. And I can't help but sigh, realizing that he's gone through one of his self-righteous streaks, rare as they may be.
You know our little deal ties up my hands when it comes to a lot of things with you. But I hear that Steele is a good kid, and I ask you at least show a bit of respect.
He's a felon. I think I'm entitled to call him what I please. I don't owe him any respect at all.
In my pocket, he may be, but he still chose the path of the policeman himself when he was a young man. And I bet it just boils his blood that he has to deal with the likes of me. But I, in turn, hate the side of him that makes him think he's still some do-gooder, some hero of justice, because spineless fools were useful. Self-righteous ones forced me to do away with them eventually.
You put plenty of your own white men in jail. I don't see you calling them I don't know, white cracker or whatever lingo they have nowadays.
Oh boy, that's wonderful.
And if not respect, you can at least owe the lad some basic human decency.
Whatever. But if you gotta stick up your ass about it, I'll concede. He's going behind bars either way, for however long that is.
Besides, what does it matter if he's black or white? The color of his skin doesn't change anything about current circumstances. It's a trifle matter to argue
It's
over.
6 months and a fine worth 5,000 for breaking and entering, unless you'd be willing to go easy on the guy. Let him bump it down to a misdemeanor and juvenile offense. We'll be giving him probation and charge him for the damages.
And that's it?
That's it. That's what a white man gets, and that's what he gets too. Unless you're going to stir up a fuss and make a big deal out of this.
In case you've forgotten, I do what I want, Lee. I don't even see why you protect the man. He's nothing but a petty thief.
And won't that look bad on you? The Luke Wright, getting his panties in a bunch over a petty thief.
He's got a
You
point.
said it yourself. He's nothing. Not worth your attention or effort. So why don't you just let me handle it like I'm supposed to?
And I do hate to say it, but he's got me there. I hate that all this power comes with a great balancing act. Be too lax and people will think they could get away with the smallest of things. Be too harsh and people will, well, they'll not want to work with me for long, and that's never a good thing in the long run. And it shows on me poorly if I were to fuss over such an insignificant little
Now,
maggot.
is that all you're here for?
Well, there's another thing I want to ask.
What? Can't I visit a friend? That detective. Feathers. Should I be concerned about him? He seemed keen.
Feathers? Oh, you mean Frey? Nah, he's not really anything to worry about. I got him assigned to your case to make the whole thing believable. The boy's a good detective, one of the best I have on the force, but he won't be able to do shit with all the red tape tying him up. In fact, the higher-ups just took him off your tail.
The case against me? I still have one? Harvey, my dear old friend. Have you been slacking off? Surely I told you to take care of that sort of thing. Surely it shouldn't have taken you this long. Surely it should be quiet by now on your end. They shouldn't be assigning anything to what's supposed to be a cold case.
I doubt you've got anything to really worry about unless you go out there and announce the shit you've done. They don't want to accuse the most powerful man in Luxburn without being 100% sure about things, of course.
The way he goes about it so
But it's
nonchalantly.
because of that company problem Suarez been talking about. Can't believe that's still a thing. You think the geek would have figured it out by now? He's supposed to be a computer genius. Don't go blaming me for it. He's the one slacking off if you ask me. Don't you be pointing fingers my way.
And has Suarez mentioned anything new about that?
You'd have to ask him about it. You know I don't understand half the technical computer mumbo-jumbo the guy goes on about. It's like the guy speaks a whole other language. Which Technically he does, but you know what I mean.
Yes, I suppose you have a point. Very well, if you haven't got anything else useful for me, I might as well head home. Get some bloody peace and quiet.
I could have some tea, maybe with some whiskey and a nap, and I'll be right as rain. At least one of us should get some good R&R, because it looks like Harvey isn't gonna get any. Not with the commotion that started up outside the room. From inside the office, we can both clearly see something's come up. And opening up the door lets the din of the place flood in, with officers going about and phones ringing up a storm.
Looks like your children are in need of their minder, Harvey. Whatever could this be?
What in blazes is going on here? What's a fucking fire?
There's been a jumper, Chief.
It is utter madness as callers ring in all about it. A jumper in Luxborn? If I weren't so tired, I'd given it more interest. Besides, going by what the officers on the phones are saying, it's probably far too late for the poor soul. They've already gone splat, and all lines are clogged with the distress and the busybodies. It's not every day you hear about such things in the city, or at least it's not every day I hear about a jumper that I haven't caused. As off on cue, Harvey glances my way with a tight expression on his face, and I have to shake my head at him to say, "No, this one isn't mine," before I leave him to his pets. Stepping out from the chaos, I let in a breath of fresh air, or as fresh as it's going to get in the city. I do hate going to the precinct. It's a fucking zoo with animals, people stepping in included. Following the altercation with Ashton Frey, Luke Wright met with LPD's Chief Inspector Lee to discuss what they would be doing with Zach Steele. He was also surprised to hear that the investigation on the Luxburn firm case was still ongoing, with which the Chief reassured him about. But it's not like the city is any better. Humans are just a higher form of animals, after all. We all delude ourselves into thinking otherwise. And I call up the car to take me away from all of it. Though I can't bring myself to step inside the house when I do get home. Hana still rests, I assume. I hear nothing to say otherwise. Not her voice or her laughter, which will easily fill any space with cheer. Everything is quiet other than the hum of engines from the car being brought away. A bird's cry sounds off from the garden, snapping me out of my reverie. It makes me look in that direction. It's an easy decision to go there. If Hana is resting, recovering from sickness, I don't want to disturb her with how agitated and annoyed I am underneath the surface. No matter how well hidden I can keep it. Not to mention, I've been neglecting the garden for far too long. Might as well stay put out here for the time being. Gray skies loom over in the horizon, though the sun fights for every precious minute it gets to stay. It'll rain again soon, with the wind bringing along the gloomy clouds normal to Luxborn. Until then, it doesn't hurt to be out here for fresh air and sunshine. I walk to the gardens, what little of it there is at the moment anyway, and kneel by the daffodils. These were the first to be brought here and planted on my request, and, if nothing else, they brought in a sense of peace. They were Mother's favorites. Closing my eyes, I lift my chin up to welcome the light that shines upon me. And for a minute, I can imagine myself as one of the flowers, peaceful, blooming, and all too happy to stand in its warmth. Life would be much easier if we were all like flowers, wouldn't it? But I didn't step out here to get all philosophical. I have problems much more practical than figuring out the meaning of life, after all. Too many things have gone on these past few days, and I would want to forget about them, even if just for a moment.
It's almost All Saints, isn't it? To think I've almost forgotten.
I speak the words absent-mindedly. The date means nothing to me, as I neither worship the religion nor have any grace to visit. After all, Mother was never given a proper burial. But it's a date as good as any for me to grieve. Otherwise, I would have done that so every day, crippling myself and shutting everyone else out. I can remember how the flames licked at her flesh and how it consumed her body, until there was nothing left but ash. I stood there watching with the operator and a social service worker. Though I could have been alone for all I cared. I felt alone. It was the most that could have been done. No one would attend the funeral of a dead prostitute, let alone pay for it. All that is left of her. Proof that she had lived is her name written on the ledger of Luxborn Cemetery, a lighter, and me. Pulling out the lighter from my jacket, I can't stop myself from flicking it open to stare at the name and to run my thumb over her name. And all in all, it isn't much, but it's something. And it'll be wrong of me not to make something of myself when she would have given everything to make sure I can become anything I want to be.
Feels like I'm stuck in a nightmare right now. What I would give to have you here by my side, Mother dear. To see you smiling at me. Alive and as beautiful as ever. I'm afraid I'm starting to forget what your face looks like. I've already forgotten the shade of your hair.
Eleanor Chandler was a wonderful woman, though not everyone else would have agreed. Not everyone had seen past her occupation, past her vices and her illness. All they saw was a poor woman who had sold her body to make means meet and had a bastard son because of it. They didn't see the mother who had worked hard to put food on the table for me, the woman who gave and gave and gave to me while expecting nothing in return. She taught me the merits of hard work, but though I loved her so, I worked hard for myself. I wouldn't be so foolish, so selfless towards people who would never give back. I learned that from the father who plucked me out of an orphanage for his own selfish gain. I pocket the lighter before I can feel the urge to actually set anything ablaze. Considering my close proximity to the flowers, they would be the most likely victim of arson. Just the thought of it itself is blasphemous. Nevertheless, that doesn't save them from being picked, just enough to make a bouquet of the things in honor of Eleanor.
Would you be proud of me if you saw me now, Mother? Maybe. You're always so forgiving. No matter what trouble I got into. More than I deserved. Especially now.
It's been a while since I've talked to my mother like this. They say that even when our loved ones have passed on, they stay to watch over us. Though I believe in neither a heaven nor a hell, a hopeful part of me wishes it were true, as ridiculous as the idea is. I can't help but grow still, a chill going up my spine when I do feel eyes upon me. For a while I think I'm imagining it, but I'm all too familiar with the sensation of being watched. Carefully I scan my surroundings, doing my best not to give away the fact that I'm aware of their presence, whoever they are. But there's not a soul in sight on the field surrounding the mansion, yet on the balcony overlooking the garden. She stands there, and though I cannot see her face clearly from afar, I know she is the one staring at me. My servant, as if one were to judge by her clothing. From this distance, I can't discern what stains on her clothing are. The woman gives off a rabid air and simply did not belong with her surroundings. That isn't what worries me, though. What worries me is that she isn't one of ours. She can't be. Obvious signs of being tattered and dirty set aside. There shouldn't be anyone else in the mansion aside from the three of us. And that's the balcony that leads to her bedroom. Forget pretending that I don't notice her.
What are you doing there? You're not supposed to be there!
It's a stupid thing to do, I realize in hindsight, but calling attention to it was a spur-of-the-moment plan. From the height, there was no way she could have jumped off the balcony, and perhaps she only would have been able to sneak in there because Hannah's asleep. Calling out to her would wake Hannah and at the very least call Johannes' attention to the matter at hand. I dread to think of any other way she could have gotten there without Hannah calling for us. The woman on the balcony doesn't react, barely even stirs. Wanting some alone time and fresh air, Luke excused himself, lingering in the gardens as he remembered the memory of his late mother. It was all pleasant at first until he glimpsed someone watching him from the balcony. Probably drug-addled or touched in the head, though. That begs the question of how she even managed to get in there. That changes nothing, of course, and doesn't stop me from roaming back to the mansion.
Shuriken! There's an intruder! In the bedroom! Upstairs! Secure Hana immediately!
Bursting in through the front doors, I'm greeted by Johannes with a kitchen knife in his hands, looking worried and alert. There's a question on his lips for a moment, but he's quick to fall into place, giving me a curt nod before we rush up the foyer stairs. That woman would have needed to go through us to get anywhere, and between me and the butler, there's no way she's getting away. There's no announcing ourselves as I slam the bedroom door open, expecting to see the worst inside. When we find Hannah simply seated at her vanity without a care in the world, my relief can't be any greater. I don't even question if she's well enough to be moving around yet, but that is soon followed by suspicion and caution. Without a word, I signal for Johannes to search the room for the intruder, if even going so far as to slip into the second bedroom. She couldn't have gone anywhere else, not without getting her attention, not without Hannah noticing. It isn't too far-fetched to think that she may have been coerced to act like nothing is out of the ordinary. If she is being forced to do this, she would be able to tell me without alerting the criminal. We should be ready for such things, after all, being the wealthy, powerful, and influential people we are. And though I hesitate to break her peace, to make her worry any more than she has the right to be, I know that matters of safety shouldn't be taken so lightly. Even if I could just content myself in watching her.
Are you alright, Hana?
There's a moment of silence as she fashions a cord around her neck. And with her back still turned to me, she replies as calmly as can be.
Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? Is there something wrong?
Oh, God. There's no sign of coercion or deceit. She gives none. Everything looks fine. Seems fine. Hana says as much. Stepping out onto the balcony doesn't say anything differently. The outside is devoid of signs of any other human life with how secluded the property is. Where are we here? Looks like we've gone down and we're here. Looks like we haven't done the up path yet. There is a lot of loot throughout. Though it is hard to be sure with how the sun has set, trying to locate anyone on the large property by myself would be futile. Whether it is the truth or a convenient lie, one could only assume that everything is alright, and even Johannes is in agreement.
There's nobody in the second bedroom or in the closet. It's all clear.
Yet I can't fight off the awful feeling that has taken
Are
over
you
me.
sure? Nobody? Double check. Triple check everything. Check the whole house if you have to.
What's going on? What is all this then?
He claims to have seen an intruder standing on your balcony. Did you notice anyone here, madam?
No, it's just been me. I've not heard or seen anybody else aside from the two of you all day. Strange.
The others have been given the day off. There shouldn't be anybody else here. Are you sure of what you saw? Perhaps you were...
Yes, I bloody well am sure of what I saw. There was a woman standing there, dark hair and in servant's clothing. Are you insinuating that I am making things up? That I'm going mad? Because if you are, I don't care how competent you've been. I won't have such disrespect directed at me. It's not paranoia if people are out to get me.
My anger is easily roused, no thanks to the adrenaline rush that's kicked in sometime I don't even know when. I don't think I'll ever get used to this feeling, really. No matter how many times I had to rely on it to survive on the streets as a child, to survive everything with how high I've managed to prop myself up. And I take any and all threats towards my person
I'm
seriously.
not implying that you're mad. The occasional hallucination is a completely normal and human experience, as long as it isn't a repeat occurrence.
Oh, so what? That was a trick of the light? My imagination?
You haven't ingested any alcohol today, have you?
A valid question, but
I am not drunk.
in my state, I only realize how quiet Hannah has gotten when she doesn't joke about my debatable alcoholism. There is no clever quip or words of fond exasperation. She's only been watching me through all of this. And when I do notice that, I start to feel bugs crawling on my skin. When I didn't deign to speak further, fixated on the situation, Johannes cuts in.
Whatever the case, we need to establish tighter security. We should have done so from the start. If you were seeing things, then we got lucky. Had there been a real intruder, we were ill prepared.
Of course. I trust that you can hire the most qualified from the agency.
Are you all right, Hannah? You seem disquieted.
I'm well, my love. I was just worried about how the hallucination brought you distress.
It wasn't a hallucination, I'm sure of it, but what can I do to prove otherwise?
Doesn't matter. You are safe, as am I. I overreacted.
Perhaps rest is necessary. It is late into the day, and you must be tired from your gardening.
Before I ask how she knew what I was doing, a small fond smile graces her lips before she brushes away a few yellow petals from my sleeve. But does it really look like I'm that exhausted? I'm sure to be well rested, and despite it all, and it's not like I've done anything physically exhausting today. Beyond running here in a hurry anyway. No doubt I led a trail of flowers in my mad dash. And I suppose I do look like a
That
mess.
sounds good. I guess I'll need to sleep a lot more than I thought. But
I'll stand guard outside for the night. You two have nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about? I'm not so sure about that. But thinking any more about it isn't going to do anything.
Come on then, my love. Off to bed. I have been restless without you by my side.
Even then, I can't force away the uneasiness that settles over me. Sleep is hard to attain, and even Hannah's embrace does not help. She's still burning up. Really, little sleep was had, and I feel completely drained come morning. Even when Hannah rises from bed in spite of a mild fever and invites me down to breakfast, I can't be bothered to drag myself out of the comfort from the sheets. It's not like I need to do something particularly important today. The rain that has started sometime during the night doesn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps just a little. The strange sunny weather has been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal, and the crazy drama that has gone lately will die down. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. With how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it has given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. It does let up within the quarter of an hour. However, a day beginning with a cloudburst like this, locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Luxborn's mizzle weather is back, likely for good. Dots. I hope they did a damn good job of fixing this place because I'd rather not have to deal with leaky roofs. Though Hannah might find humor in it and perhaps ask me to sing in the rain to wear out my anger, I don't like the idea that Realty did a horrid patch job with the place. Well, Hannah technically paid millions for this place. It better live up to the price tag the Realty company sold it for. Not that it's something she should be fretting about at the moment when her health's not at the best. Hannah is going to be brought to the hospital for a checkup today, and if anything, I prefer that she focuses on getting better. That fever, no matter how slight it is, can't be good for her. What, with her odd behavior recently, you'd think she'd hit her head hard against something while I wasn't looking. Perhaps a proper rest is all she needs, but I'd rather not assume things. I'm a businessman, not a doctor. Wonder of wonders why I even bother agreeing to babysitting duty at that. But here I am, scheduled as today's babysitter for Suarez's brat once her father drops her off at the mansion steps. Though all of that is a worry for much, much later. If I wish to, I can ask that nobody bothers me while I doze off in a cocoon of comforters. But as always, somebody has to be a buzzkill.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want? It's far too early to deal with your nosiness.
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I am quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered. Truly. Not even the slightest bit worried.
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
Loath as I am to admit it, he is right. The whole thing might have been rattled me, but there's little point in jumping at every shadow I see from the corner of my eye. I shouldn't lose my head for a threat that might not even come. I should know better by now. But I've never been this worried about a possible threat on my life before. I'll be honest here. If anyone is in danger, it's Hana. I can take care of myself just fine. With security tightened, I'll at least have one guard, if not 5, making sure nobody gets within 10 feet from me without my say-so. Hana, on the other hand, will be away from us today to get a fever checked upon my insistence. It is a small relief that Johannes will be with her.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information, any at all, may be very well helpful in calming me down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. But they haven't seen anyone fitting the description.
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
Though I'll deny it, I do find myself a teeny bit
I
interested.
called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
Ever consider she might be putting her paycheck to good use? Probably somewhere out there getting drunk, having a shag. And I envy her for it. As long as she's here for work, what and who she does in her free time is her business.
Hell, maybe she's found another client to sleep with. I'll commend her if that's the case. It's a good way as any to make connections and get... I would be a hypocrite and a liar if I said I didn't get some business that way. Scratches the itch,
That's
too.
all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either. Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
Okay, interesting as all this is, why bring this to my attention? If we've lost an interior designer, just find someone else to take her place.
You idiot, the last time she was seen was at your frickin' party. If I knew that letting Hana hire her would bring so much trouble, I would have stopped it at just the 6.
The last anyone has seen of her was here, the morning of the party, your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this, and to suspect.
It's of little import that I can easily prove my innocence. It's all a matter of principle. Because even the accusation of misdemeanor should not stain my reputation, although maybe it is a bit too late to hope for a squeaky clean one. Besides, it'll be such a hassle to have police poking about the house looking for a body that doesn't exist.
Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
Well, there goes any plans of grabbing some shut-eye. Rolling over on my stomach, I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course. Ugh. Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
No, Johans, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on.
I have to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. You just can't get loyal help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
Bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Change into a fresh shirt, brush my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my very existence. I wish I was anywhere in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie is a great kid. Wonderful. Better than most brats her age. But handling a tyke is the last thing I want on my agenda right now with the whole Hannah business. Fortunately, I'm very well versed in how the world works. I've long learned that the show must go on no matter what hurdles come in my way. So I set to preparing for the day. Running a comb through my hair is just divine and simply makes me feel more human. Bad hair is disgusting, though it isn't as bad now as it was when I was a child. With how expensive a trip to the barber's was, I often had to grow it out until Mother had time to cut it for me. The curls and the tangles were simply horrid. Why, I was even mistaken as a little girl because of it. It certainly doesn't help that I was named Lucille. A freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to start the day. But something catches my eye. My clothes and personal effects are already set on the dresser for the day. Boxers, trousers, belt, and socks on one side, with my shirt, jacket, and tie on the other. It's always the same things, always. Cufflinks, colognes, and anything I would like to add stays in the dresser for me to choose from. It's all routine. However, among the silvers and the grays and the red is a tiny blue box. The thing is small and light, fitting in the palm of my hand. Too big to be a ring box, but also too large to be a watch box. Looking at it closer, I see that it's one of my handkerchiefs used for wrapping. It's easy enough to untie the knot to reveal a plain box inside. An odd and quaint way to wrap a gift, I suppose. Though presentation should be the last thing I need to be worried about. Mail, packages, gifts, and the likes are supposed to be vetted before they get to me. In the morning, Johannes would hand me a list of things I need to look over and go through. Yet there was no forewarning of this. Immediately I dropped the thing as it burned to me.
I shouldn't have touched that. I shouldn't have touched that.
It very well might have. Without security going over it, it could be a nasty gift for me. I can still remember when a security guard died to contact poisoning that it covered an innocent enough birthday card, for fuck's sake. But as the box hits the ground, it spills its contents. What I see makes my stomach turn. Holy shit. An eyeball, still with its nerve ending. Mucus and all plops to the ground. I have to fight the urge to gag as it rolls and stares up at me.
Oh God, that's sick. That is sick. It's still wet. My bloody fucking... That is disgusting.
What the hell? I'm not a stranger to being sent threats, but this has to be the first time I've been sent a body part. Even I don't do that. Yet there's no note or sign as who may have sent it or how it got here. If this is a threat, it's a piss-poor way of doing it, and considering it lies proper planning outside the shock factor that sending a body part affords them. Do I even know anyone whose eyes are the same shade? Not Hannah's. No, definitely not. They aren't as pretty and aren't as the right color. Johannes? Mr. or Mrs. Lee? Suarez? McCullough? No, the color isn't familiar at all. Though, honestly, it's not like I take the time to memorize each and every person's eye. This could be anyone's, from a guard or a maid or one of the other 100 people I dealt with. Kylie can't see this. The kitty is very tough, but this will traumatize her. Grabbing the handkerchief that was used for grabbing, I tried to pick up the eyeball to dispose of it. Emphasis on try. Contact, even with the fabric, has me gagging. The thought of squishing it and covering my fingers with the slick and slime of it has made me recoil. But the slightest of touch is enough to make the eyeball roll towards the bed, and in my mad scramble to make a grab for it, it rolls even farther away, further on the bed until it's smack dab middle. There it just taunts me from where it sits out of my reach. Green eyes fixed on me again, perhaps judging my poor attempts to get it.
I don't have time for this.
An eyeball under the bed. Yeah, that's going to be very, very helpful, you know. Luke Wright received this surprise early Sunday morning in the form of an oddly wrapped shaped gift. Upon the opening the box, however, I washed my hand of this, quite literally at that. Though I wish it wasn't easier said than done. The nagging in the back of my head, the voice that tells me I need to be more cautious about this, refuses to push the matter aside. While it is true that it is a cause for concern, without demands or anything of the like, worrying will do very little to help. Looking around the room, I tried to see if any other presents have been left behind. To my relief, aside from the blue box, nothing else is out of place. The most I can do right now is alert the present security staff about this breach, watch out for any other threats. If they have a message for me, they'll most likely send it with their next gift. Whoever has sent this, I would assume that is more likely to shake me up more than anything else at the moment. It'll be best to act if this didn't happen. No need to make a child worry about it either. She doesn't need to know. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. The horrors that come with taking care of a child. While I try to forget the horrors that came in a box.
Good morning to you, Luke.
Speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Oh, tell me you forgot. It's our playdate today.
I doubt I'd forget. Kylie's visits are a frequent enough thing that they found their way into my schedule. But we can't pick who a child gets along with, so as long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. Which is all well and good for me, if it makes Suarez focus on the work I've given him. Besides, she's a brought child. Tolerable. Kid's got a good head on her shoulders, and can get pretty mature. And can get pretty mature for age at times. Of course, they have to thank me for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hannah and I have been there for this kid since she was a small babe. Why, I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hannah, who was to be named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, and swaddled in her mother's arms in white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close, close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold a tiny little life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on the head and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hannah. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess, and I was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. Yet it was pleasant, too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as you told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortillas de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
Ah, the Suarez's infamous tortillas de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with the promise of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. And just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Slow down! The food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlor and order a maid to bring food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me, and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long unless I wanted to turn the other room into a slaughter round. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already made herself comfortable. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Narcissa, or Sissa, is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs, staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. Even now it stares at me from where it's seated, and I'm wholly tempted to just throw the thing into the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I will break it and find a way to get rid of it, if it wasn't from Hannah, and if only Kylie isn't so attached to it. That thing is some antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday, one of a kind. My darling Hannah loves her so, and Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interest long enough with the wife. It's not something Hannah does wrong on her part. She does try so very, very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. impose rules on the child, treat her as she's made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I, at least, have some idea from being around street kids. I know the games they played and how they think. I know that scrapes and skinned knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as behaved as she can be, with her toys and books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground and make a mess in the mud, or to even fake wrestle for a short while. Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with sweeps, or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hana isn't quite up for those sort of things most of the time, thinking it'll spoil the child. It turns a whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expect to see for a little girl, but it doesn't hurt anyone. If she wants to play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? She wants to put dolls' tutus on a model cars even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. But we went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome. Dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall. Even bigger than a T-Rex. Cisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
She only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about everyone as long as she puts her mind into it. Yet the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic than whether or not she plays with dolls or cars, though. Both the thoughts of Cisa giving Kylie ideas, and one said idea being massacred by a dinosaur. Something I probably need to bring up with her father, aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precautious as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can get comfy and settled in after getting her sweets. We tuck into our waffles, and as soon as food is brought in, our waffles, because she wanted her own plate to go with ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of this feast, as Kylie puts it. And as if I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With her bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap piece of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to the Blocks land in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She talks of Miss Pink, and I have to shift my legs to be comfortable once more, the memory of my initial meeting with her still fresh on my mind. She talks of the sad man in the park, and of her new friend who likes to play hide and seek when she's not sniffing in the loo. When finally she finds something new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles, of course, the calm before the storm. Because, behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off of her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin, and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint, for however long it stays. I have fun with the crayons as well, as the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon, that leaves me with the blue one. I absentmindedly start to draw Puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as if I attempt to give the doodle dogs another eye that Kylie breaks her silence.
Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here. Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. The kid has always had a whole bunch of them ready for me, but I can only sigh when she posed this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has Johans and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say this kid is trying to make me feel guilty. I want to say that the little tyke is evil for making me feel so.
But I understand. When I get sick, Papa and Mama have to leave me with their maids, too.
Well, they don't take care of you?
That doesn't sound right. Even my mom took care of me when I was sick as a child.
Well, they're always busy with work.
Oh, I see. I guess that's no good.
I know she doesn't mean to accuse me of anything, but as her father's boss, maybe I do overwork Suarez a bit. There's a lot of responsibilities that only he is capable of carrying out. Delegation is a thing, sure, but when said responsibilities are legally questionable at best, putting others to the task isn't always an option. But...
Maybe your papa is in need of some vacation time. He deserves it, doesn't he? He's a hard worker. I could arrange something for the holidays.
I could cut him some slack. Some of his assignments can wait. I can't do much for our mom. She isn't one of my employees, but this would have to suffice. It will be worth it if it makes the little girl happy, because just like that, the somber look on her face turns into one of pure joy. It's like looking at a little sun, warm and bright. It's nice to do something kind every now and then.
Would you really, Teal?
Would you like that?
I'd like that very much, yeah! We can go to this museum! There's one with lots of cool trains and planes! I like trains! And there's the local manor theme park! And a monkey forest! There's a kid adventure farm too, the wacky warehouse, and a play barn as well, and...
Whoa, slow down there, Munchkin. I know you're excited, but I think you should let me schedule your dad's day off before you plan a whole year's worth of stuff.
There's an embarrassed giggle, but she does reel herself in enough to calm down, which is a feat in itself, and it's obvious how giddy she is. And if she wasn't looking forward to the holidays before, like any child should, she just now.
I think Tia would be really happy if you were with her. You could have told me you needed to go to the hospital with her, Teal. I won't be angry.
I'd love to be with her, but I wanted to spend time with you, Munchkin. And she told me to stay. Besides, I don't like hospitals. They always smell like alcohol. Not the good kind either.
I don't think anybody likes hospitals. They're scary. But you said Tia is brave and strong.
That she is.
A content silence comes over us as we go back to scribbling. Though I stop when I'm done with my blue dog, cringing at how awful it looks. Kylie reprimands me for that because I should be like her. That little tyke goes through several sheets of paper, one drawing after another. Practicing, she says, because practice makes perfect. Not to mention, there's a drawing contest coming up in class, and she just has to beat Tim from Class D, who says girls can't be superheroes. The clay gets a turn, too, when we start sculpting food and pretending we're Michelin chefs. When we're too tired from tossing pizza and making cakes, there's no trouble in finding another activity more relaxing for the both of us. I find myself invested in reading the picture of Dorian Gray once more. Often I lose myself in the pages of the books. However, it is rather difficult to do so when I'm also trying to keep an eye and an ear out for Kylie. I've been reading the same paragraph over and over, even again. Inexplicably, I can feel my skin crawl when the little girl sits with Narcissa by the parlor's fireplace, humming and singing, although I don't ignore it long enough to only hear the tail end of the song.
Everything is up in flames, up in flames, up in flames. Everything is up in flames, my fair lady.
What the fuck? Excuse me? What? Okay. I don't think I can spend any more time with Kylie considering how high-strung I feel. Yeah, everything is up in flames. Oh dear God. With Hannah away for a checkup, Luke was left alone to watch over his godchild, Kylie Suarez. However, what was supposed to be a simple babysitting turned awkward when the precocious child began sprouting bizarre things. So it is a good thing that Suarez came for her as soon as I've called. Though it is earlier than the agreed upon time, he voices no complaint. The bastard even has a look of relief as soon as they left. Or at least I interpreted as much from where I stood by one of the windows, not bothering to step out and greet the man. No doubt he still doesn't trust me around his spawn. Where are we? We're still down here. Okay. Well, he has every right to be suspicious of me. I am a dangerous man after all. But to my chagrin, that leaves me with the rest of the day with nothing to do. Well, aside from picking up the mess Kylie left scattered about in the parlor, to my immense relief, she remembered to take her doll home with her this time. But that same cannot be said of the crayons and papers littered here and there. First things first. I snatch my own doodle off the table and rip it to shreds, leaving no hope that it will see the light of day. The rest of the drawings, all Kylie's, remained unharmed as I collect the lot. Though they have been stacked neatly on the table before, they must have been blown off when I saw Kylie off. And there are plenty of them. From cats and cakes to colorful rainbows and gardens, the child managed to make a lot of during her morning here. There is one more that I have to fish out of the fireplace where it landed. Expecting to see another one of Kylie's masterpieces, I am instead greeted with something a bit more concerning. There is me, and there is Kylie, the two of us side by side and smiling as our stick figures' selves stand in a nondescript field. That much I can ascertain without looking at the labels below the doodle's feet. But a third figure stands next to me in the drawing. A woman with her face hidden behind a curtain of black. Takaku, the rating on her supplies.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, and I feel a chill go down my spine. A breath. That isn't mine. That has me turning around, expecting, hoping to see someone, anyone, but nothing. And that's when I hear it. Laughter, sweet and merry laughter, are ringing from the ballroom. Thinking about it has my cheeks burning and my blood's running hot, as if I'm being mocked. I stomp towards the door. I have to stop myself from shouting up a storm. I expect to see some of the help dolling about idle from the duties. Perhaps they thought they can slacken off in their duties without the head butler around in my preoccupation with Kylie. Well, they had another thing coming. But again, nothing. Nothing from what I can see with a cursory glance at the very least. I roam around looking for near impossible hiding places. And still I am all alone. Yet I can still hear laughter. That accursed laughter echoing about in the room in my head.
Who's there? Show yourselves and show some respect to the master of the house.
Cold uneasiness settles in my stomach when no one answers. I stumble onto my own 2 feet, feeling a wave of nausea come from nowhere. I have to put a hand against the wall to stay upright when the whole world shifts and pain explodes from behind my eyes. It takes every ounce of my self-control not to heave then and there. The only thing my pride allows me to do then is to close my eyes and attempt to alleviate some of the pain. Vague, unfamiliar images, dare I say memories not mine, flash in my head, unbidden and unwelcome. Like a strong hammer to the side of the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it into two. Whatever emotions they hold are muted. I'm nothing but a spectator. Still, its weight feels palpable, though it doesn't take long for these sensations to get into my head. Through my eyes and my ears, it creeps and buzzes in the spaces between. A lovely meal in the gardens on a rare sunny day. The lord and his lady cannot be any happier, but what one must see is looking on in despair. Jealousy presents itself, like wriggling worms trying to force themselves down my throat.
I'm so delighted you can be here with me today, my love. I miss you so.
I am but your most humble servant, milady. I do regret that the trades keep me away far too often. But simply say the word and I...
Oh, hush. It is a little import now. All that matters is you are here. Now enough with that. I have good news. Do you recall the confectionery we used to frequent? From the western edge of the village, down by the river?
I feel sick, utterly green in the gills at this sensation, lasting until its image is all but washed away by another. It hurts. She doesn't want this.
You lack care. You forget your place, and you've indulged yourself far too much in this fantasy of yours.
This is vile, like vomit and sludge brushing against my skin before it covers me until I am weighed down. Disgusting. Wrong. Stop it.
You've overstepped your boundaries and livery.
Stop it. This is wrong. Please.
May I remind you that you are nothing but a servant, a slave, an unattractive, unchaste harlot who thinks too much of herself.
Please, no more. My heart feels like it's seizing in my chest, like it's being squeezed, and the pressure won't stop until it bursts.
Are you truly storming off over some hearsay? Be sensible!
What you did, it is... There are no words. You bring disgrace to this family. This rotten noble standing in front of me is not the cousin I grew up with. This is not the lady I fell in love with. She would never do such unspeakable things.
I bring disgrace. I bring disgrace. I am not the idiot who's running off in the middle of the night. You promised, Edward. You gave me your word. Don't you dare turn your back on me. I swear to you, if you step 1 foot out of these lands, mark my words, Edward, I will...
What? What is it you swear? Will your men steal me away? Defile me too, like what you did to yourself?
There is an undercurrent of fear. I am in danger, my head screams at me. And there is a hurt, a deep burning shame I can feel on the woman's behalf. Looking at her on its own is a chore I cannot bear. Over and over it hurts. The pain, however, is not overbearing or blinding. It is the littlest of cuts and the bruising of flesh by blunt force. It dribbles down my cheeks and my mouth. There's a pounding in my head. It is not blinding, but that makes it all starker. Everything hurts.
Dear lady, he need not suffer. I beg of you, have mercy. You already have me to do as you please. He deserves none of this.
Why is this happening?
Silence, before I cut out that impertinent tongue of yours and feed it to the dogs. You will watch and you will learn what happens when I am displeased.
What have I done to deserve this? Whispers and accusations fill every crevice of my head, ringing and echoing around like a terrible case of tinnitus. They stare, gazes filled with judgment and disgust. Even before their beloved lady has spoken, she's already condemned.
This horrid woman! I beg the court for justice! Who knows what this devil's bride is capable of? She has already bewitched my love, my betrothed. I just cannot bear to think of what she has done to him after. Or what else she may do to our people if we let her live. Blood taints this woman's hands, and I deserve to be repaid in kind for that which she has taken from me.
There is nothing for her but death, and she knows this. Her silence says as much. One after the other, they come at me, an unending flood that threatens to sweep me away for what feels like an eternity. Each one, a show of both joy and suffering for those who have called this their mansion home. Wait, alright. Okay, reading the Twitch chat here. I've never seen this about Charlotte and Edward either. And wow, I didn't know that was what the second slide was. I didn't realize that was her being raped. Raped by who, though? By Edward? Oh, one of Charlotte's men. Why would one of her men rape him, though? Or rape her, though? As punishment for cheating on her? Or for stealing his... or for stealing Edward from her? Is that what it was? Well... this is what... was in the chat. I don't know. Probably because she was too close with Edward. I don't know. Each new scene is like a hammer to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. I can feel every little emotion in the blurry images that present itself in my head. I feel a part of these, like I've lived through them, though I know that it's not possible. All their anger burns through me, that much is evident, but the pain more so. And above all of it are the whispers, the voices calling, luring, till one image emerges in vivid contrast with the others. When there's a shout of joy, my eyes snap open looking for the culprit, and that's when the whole room just changes. Everything is the same, yet everything isn't. There are people everywhere laughing and dancing. I should be concerned about them, but my mind feels it easy to dismiss them as they fade in and out from nothingness. Instead, I find my concentration drawn to a man and a woman, though one can only call them a lord and a lady going by their clothes. And just to see how the happy couple looks. Though the man's eyes are eerily blank, like he's not all there. His face is familiar, though. In fact, they both are, but I can't quite place why. The two make for a pretty picture as they dance in the center of the ballroom. Even the phantom crowd's attention stay on them. It reminds me so much of Hannah and as during the early days of our marriage. The honeymoon years, as they call it. We were happy then, too, all smiles and our sunshine, even with the normal dreary weather. Younger, we had less to worry about, or at least thought that way. I wished we could go on that way even with all that I did and had to do. But life has a way of catching up. There was work to be done. Although we have to stay the loving perfect couple in public, I could not afford to look so weak. To appear tied down to someone else, to those who knew what I really am. I had to harden my heart when I have business, but it hadn't always been so easy just to switch that part of me on and off. I should be concerned about their intrusion, too, asking what in bloody hell they are doing in my house, throwing parties as if they own the place. Asked myself how the fuck I didn't notice what was going on before when the parlor and the foyer are only both a few doors away. but I have the feeling that yelling and screaming at them won't do much of anything anyway. None of the others have given me any notice. And I realize that this might not even be real. It dawns on me that these are the two of the people from the paintings, the ones all over the mansion. Which makes sense. I don't think I'm imaginative enough to make this all up on my own. This must be a dream, or a really horrible high. Just then I can feel eyes on me as I contemplate the absurdity of the situation, yet I find difficulty in trying to tear my eyes away from the two dancing. I manage, and I regret looking away. The woman from the balcony stands beside me. I can hear her rattling breath, menacing and chilling. Everything in me screams to run, but something pins me to the spot just as she looks at me, watching and waiting. The clamor of the voices fill the ballroom. Although they say such welcoming words, I do not feel comforted by the madness I'm experiencing. Their joyous voices turn sinister and foreboding to my ears. The chorus of people that shouldn't exist, threaten to overwhelm me, drown me even as I stand on dry land. The music that still plays as the Phantom Quartet continues while I'm standing here, vulnerable and afraid, but the dance has already ended. And I'm afraid that I might just be tonight's entertainment. Attention is all well and good until bollocks like this go down. These phantom people watch me, thousands of eyes scrutinizing, though they cheer for my return, cajole me to dance, and join in the merriment. There are eager hands all over pulling me in every direction, but they do not move me enough to remove me from the woman's gaze.
Listen. Can you not hear them as they welcome you on? Your kind. Our kind. You're one of us, my love. We are bonded by the blood we share.
If I thought the voices were overwhelming before, it is nothing compared to how they are now. Their voices are loud, speaking in unison and echoing ever on in the spaces of my head. They welcome me back as if I'm always belonged and as if I was meant to be here in the first place. They call me all these titles and names that do not belong to me, and that man's face, the one with the empty lights, flashes up again before me, once fleetingly, like a new memory having burned itself into my mind. I have to struggle for air when I come back to myself after.
I'm not. This isn't...
The welcomes turn into screams at my protest, pained and desperate pleas for my help, telling me that it is my duty to stay, telling me that I belong among them, to them. Gentle touches turn near threatening, the worrying scratches and the baring of teeth by predators before they truly mean someone. My mouth goes dry as I struggle to speak some sense into this hallucinatory madness, but I don't get the chance as they drown out my voice.
Our Lord, my Prince.
At her words, there is a compulsion to stay. Though my heart races in my chest, the fear I should be experiencing refuses to register in my head. Mind and body war with each other, nearly tearing me in two.
Oh, you finally returned to us.
The compulsion to walk into her arms is strong. Whispers in my head tell me to go to her. They say she is safety, she is home and heart. We have been
waiting here for so long.
But repulsed at these thoughts, I wrench away and turn with a small gasp. Without hesitation, I start to make a run for it. I nearly falter when an angry shriek pierces the air, inhumane and monstrous. I don't dare look back, I just run. I didn't care if this is drug-induced hallucination or not. Just run. Out of the ballroom. And out of the parlor. It's only then that I bother looking back and hoping and praying to God I scorn that it did not pursue me. I would have run all the way out of the mansion, and too, if only someone didn't get in my way. I collide with a body much larger than mine and fall back to the ground, head spinning as I look up at the stained glass. Turning my head to the side, replaced with a colorful sight with a pair of black shiny shoes. Fatigue fills every inch of them. My being then, making me refuse to get up. Meanwhile, a familiar head of ginger looks down at me in bemusement.
You really must look where you're going if you insist on running about. Do tell, where is the fire?
Oh, thank God you're here.
I do hope you don't have a concussion. Can you count backwards from 15 to 1 for me?
Oh, fuck off, you wanker. Just help me up.
I do not think insulting me if you do have a concussion is a smart decision. But no, really. 15 to 1.
That woman, she was here. I told you to keep an eye out for her.
The other man offers an arm and pulls me up onto my feet then. But before I can storm off and pull him to the ballroom, he anchors me down with one hand on my shoulders and the other touching the back of my head.
No bruising or bump. That still does not mean that you don't have a concussion. If you are too lazy to count backwards, can you tell me your full name? Where are you currently?
We don't have Lucille Mitchell Wright, and this is the Ermengarde bloody fucking foyer. But we don't have time for this.
You must make and have the time to make sure you are not broken in the head. I have already sent security to scour the whole house when I saw you running out of the parlor, Dummkopf.
Dummkopf.
If the woman is here, they will have her. You will only be slowing them down if you plan to interfere.
When he points that out, I realize that there are guards starting to filter into the house as we speak, with some already searching nearby rooms. Armed and uniformed men go about in pairs, making it so that the house is in a flurry of activity. He lets go of me then, with the knowledge that I'm not going to keel over anytime soon.
I was hoping that you would be tired from dealing with the young miss on my return. Instead, you come running and hit your head. Such a troublesome boy. Shall I be carrying you to bed, too?
I can manage just fine on my own. Though I don't see how I can sleep until that woman is caught.
It'll be easier to keep you safe in your quarters. This is twice we've known the woman to break in. I think we can safely presume that you hold her interest.
He says it as a matter of fact in a tone that brook no argument. Not like I'll argue if it means I'm kept safe. The two of us hurry upstairs, though we remain watchful and wary of any potential threats to my person. Alright. This is as good of time as any. See, regarding the events that happened, I hadn't seen those events that took place with the lady and her lords, Charlotte and Edward. I had not seen those yet, and I've played through this once already. Now what I'm thinking is happening is that maid is the maid that was in the previous history, the flashback memories that were popping up in his head. That woman who was sentenced to death. She's the one, the ghost, the spooky ghoul that's haunting everybody. But until we get more backstory with that, there's no way to know. And I think the possessed Hannah is the Charlotte, possibly the ghost of Charlotte possessing her, considering how she treats Luke as Edward, I'd be guessing. Just hypothesizing here. Alone, Luke heard voices coming from the nearby bar, and when he decided to investigate, he was assaulted by memories not of his own. And at the center of all of it is the same woman who appeared before him the day before. Alright, again, because this is as good a time as any, I'm gonna quick get a drink. I'll be right back in like a minute.
Where's Hannah? She came home with you from the hospital, didn't she?
She's supposed to be here. I sent one of the maids to accompany her here, to let her rest. Stay.
I'm not staying in here while Hannah stays out there.
One of the guards will find her and bring her here.
And what if they don't? What if that woman gets to her first? What if she already has her?
Apparently my hotkey to unmute my mic didn't work. Luckily I was reading the chat. No, I don't have it on auto, but my unmute mic key didn't work.
That's not possible.
You can't promise that.
There's no second thought as I reach under the side of my bed and pull out one of my knives. I have no doubt that the other man can take me on if we're both unarmed. But with this, I can even the field, or at least deter him from escalating the situation and risking hurting either of us.
I'm going out there to look for Hana, and you're either with me or you aren't. I'm not risking Hana, and I'm not leaving her alone.
Still, like a stubborn mule, he refuses to budge from the door. There's a withering look on him that I try to match. One that, somehow, I am losing fast to, even with him not saying a word yet.
Can you see yourself in the mirror right now? You are in no proper state to go looking for anyone. If it will make you happy, I will do the looking. But please, and don't make me repeat this, stay where it's safe, where security can find you. We already have one person to be worried about. Please don't add another one to it.
Perhaps it is his tone. In spite of his general disdain for virtually everything that has to do with me, I'd like to think that over the years he has grown to care for Hana at least. Much as I loathe to admit this, I trust him with her safety over any servant in this house. So, in acquiesce.
You have 2 hours, Shirokin. I don't think it'll take that long to find one missing woman in this house. 2 hours. Any more than that, and I'm going out there.
Of course.
Despite his words, he lingers. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he wants to make sure I get in this damn bed and sleep before he turns away from me. What am I, a child, watching me and treating me like one? There's the reason why we never get along.
Well, what are you waiting for?
And the knife?
The knife stays.
Very well.
Only then does he seem to get the hint. With a nod, he leaves, locks, and closes the door behind him. And Hana has gone missing. Oh no. Bumping into Luke after his flight from the ballroom, Johanna quickly ushers the paranoid to Ben to his room while the house's security look for the trespasser, only to be greeted by a room devoid of Hana, who was supposed to have arrived with the butler. For a moment, I still hear his voice while he gives the guards outside firm instructions, then a hush as soon as he departs and his footsteps fade away. One that doesn't quite last. As quickly as the silence settles, lightning flashes across the sky, followed immediately by the loud boom of thunder. And that wanker strikes so dangerously close that I can feel the electricity in the air. The power goes out not a second later, and I feel as I'm being mocked by whatever. All is deathly still for a moment, but soon the rain starts once again. Far heavier than the light drizzle from this morning, its pitter-patter hitting hard against this place's roof. Despite the noise, I find myself drawn to my bed, exhausted and hoping for a little nap. I'm safe here. Hana will be safe too. Shirokin will find her, and when I wake, she'll be there. It does not take long. Once my head hits the pillow, in a matter of minutes, darkness claims me, bringing with it laughters and whispers of a twisted love from a time long gone. Dots. What in the high hell? November 1st, Tuesday. Dots, yet in spite of the unfamiliar voices and unwanted touches from shadows lurking in the dark, rousing is a slow, arduous process. Difficult, every limb heavy with lead, no matter how my aversion for the words they murmur in their ears. With the sight of her horrid smile from afar, my body refuses to yield. I am at their mercy. Beyond fathomable reason, my consciousness refuses to pull of the waking world, choosing to linger in the pits of my dream, gradually drawing me deeper into unknown depths. Somehow, even if it might mean I may never open my eyes, I'll allow them.
You do not belong there, my prince.
Not that I mind getting a few extra hours, of course. The bed's more comfortable as it is, after an exhausting day yesterday. Babysitting Kylie, the stress of finding an intruder in my own home, not to mention those bloody allbells they left. I think I deserve a little break every once in a while, especially after going through all that in a single day. I can only be on the receiving end of so many unacceptable things within a span of a few hours, you know? As gracious as a host in person I am, my patience has its limits too. Although there's still that problem with Hana, I haven't forgotten that, of course, but that's why I hired Shirokin. He's incompetent enough, he won't even last a day in my service if he's any lesser than those half-wits who think they can deceive me with sweet words. He's even more capable working on his own without guidance. Let the butler take care of that problem with Hana while I... Hana...
You do not need her. I am here. We are here. This is where your home is.
What in the world?
Where you belong for the blood we share. Come back to us.
since that wasn't voiced, I apologize for my terrible acting. How long has it been since? Johannes has never taken this long before.
Surely there should have been an update by now. Alright?
So why isn't there?
Please don't go.
Bloody hell, the cretins I've surrounded myself with.
And isn't that enough reason to force myself out of bed? As it has always been the case. Dear God. What is going on? My eyes fly open, expecting the warm rays of sunshine flirting through the curtains, only to be greeted by a blinding flash of light and a loud boom of thunder that sounded nearly too close to my ears. Strong gusts of wind will occasionally burst in from the open balcony door, bringing drizzle of cold rain into the room. I must have left it open earlier before dozing off. The carpet and the floor closest to it already drenched. Anna's gonna be so cross when she sees this. Not that it's an immediate problem. If anything, it's this power outage we should be minding in first. With the intruder still at large, steering through this darkness might be far more fatal than multiple stab wounds or a gunshot to the chest.
Oh, great. The power's still out. That is exactly what I need right now. Yes.
It's this storm, of course. I should have moved back to the penthouse to weather it in a much more comfortable setting. Already I can hear the creaks and groans of this old place as rains beat against the windows.
Johans! Has someone been sent to check the circuit breaker yet?
No answer.
Johans?
Silence.
Shuriken! Someone! Anyone?
Still nothing, and my cordial mood is quickly dissipating.
Where are those idiots when you need them?
It's really a wonder why he hasn't fixed this yet. Was I really out that long? Con to me, it's only been a few hours after midnight, and if the time on my wristwatch is anything to go by. Unless I've forgotten to change it after that last overseas trip a month ago. Though the delay is understandable if he went looking for Hana as he promised. But bloody hell, my safety's also at stake here. Cursing, I stay still, letting my eyes try and adjust the darkness while my hands fumble for my slippers. If that butler isn't going to fix this, I may as well order the security outside posted to do it. It's probably just a blown fuse. Anyone with a brain can repair one. Grabbing my jacket and, with my footwear finally on, I make for the door. Although in haste, I pause briefly with a gleam when a gleam catches my eye on one of my drawers. Underneath the clutter I have yet to organize, a muzzle of my gun peeks out. Hana has never openly commented on my possession of it, but I know she does not approve of it, knowing the bloody firearm policy in this nation. Of course, I've never found much use for it in the several years we've been together, or otherwise she would have already had thrown it out years ago. Doesn't mean it won't be useful right now. Without second thought, I seize it, sending the stuff piled above it onto the floor. Whatever, I'll get to it later. This blackout problem should be resolved first. But of course, right after I've made the effort and I'm already dressed and on my feet, without even waiting for my permission, the door swings open and in comes Shuriken, striding into the room like he owns the place, no respect for authority at all. Though he does pause midway to glance at where I'm once, he notices the empty bed. Look on his face when his eyes land on me. I can't decide if he's simply cautious or scandalized. Last I've checked, I look decent enough. Is it the hair?
You're already up.
But really, why do I have to let him get away with such disrespect? Why do I keep anyone? Sometimes I think I'm better off alone, you know? Then again, I wouldn't have anyone to boss around if I live on my own.
Did you come in here just to sass me? And before you do that, I'll have you know that I've been calling you for a good...
We have a problem.
He says that as if he's simply talking about the weather and not a problem. Not that I find anything new in it. That man's humor has always been as dry as a bone. You won't even know if he has told me a joke until there's an awkward silence in the room. Probably why this irks me, because if there's one thing ever since we started living in this mansion that has remained consistent, it's that word. Somehow every single day we have to deal with a problem. I'm not entirely sure how he's expecting me to react after dropping another bomb like that on me. Just after waking up at that, on top of Hana missing, this power failure, and that woman who keeps trespassing in my home. Forgive me, I have every right to be this cheesed off in the middle of the night. Cheesed.
What do you mean we have a problem? Haven't we had enough for one night? Good lord. Do I have to be the one to fix everything, every little issue that pops up in this house? Do I have to be there every single time?
Oh, it is your house.
Can't you just fix it?
My men know I dislike doing legwork unless it's of the utmost necessity and importance. If I did do something on my own, it's only done in the direst of situations. That or I must be very, very bored.
I can, but I thought you might want to see this one for yourself before any disposal occurs.
For all my exasperation over this, he sure does know how to get me interested.
Where? He's in the study right now. Sound asleep, though it won't be long before he wakes up. I found him nosing around the attic. Odd, if you ask me. Not quite sure why he went there. A doorway, and he would have gotten easily to you. Unless you're not the reason why he's here.
He? So there are, what, 2 different people trying to get to me?
That's already one too many to deal with. What is wrong with these
Possibly.
people?
There might be more. You really aren't a likable sort, and this shouldn't be surprising anymore. Didn't you used to count how many enemies you've made? I believe it was a yearly thing. Or have you already stopped?
Normally, I'd point out Hana likes me well enough. After all, that's all that matters, or at least it used to. We haven't been exactly good terms lately for that statement to be true. Let's check out this branching tree. Okay, we got pretty much nowhere again. We're gonna skip ahead quite a bit, probably. Quite a bit. I think this is the true route. Damn. Yes, I believe in order to be in the center, you gotta be on the true route, and I don't think I'll be on that. What a shame.
Why do you even care if I'm still counting or not? And we're wasting time here. Come on now, lackey. If you say he's in the study, to the study we go. And mush.
Sometimes I must wonder how well you sleep at night. And why I haven't smothered you yet.
I can only laugh in amusement and shake my head as I step out. Another journal entry. Luke Wright woke up in a storm raging outside, and with his whole house eerily quiet, power was still off and no one answered, even when he called out. To his relief, Johanna showed up a minutes later, bringing news he might be interested in. Yeah, I know that. I know you can't get to the true ending by killing everybody. I mean, I wish, but, you know, actually, I don't want to kill everybody. I want to make it to the true ending without killing everybody, but we'll see what happens. But I don't grace his question with an answer, though I have something in mind. Perhaps it's because I'm a fun boss. And tonight we really are going to have lots of fun. I haven't looked forward to something in a while. Bloody, I don't think I've done enough these past few years. It actually does quite feel nice, refreshing to be back doing what I'm used to, even if it's only for one night. After we're done with him and get what we need from him, there will be one less problem to worry about. Win-win if anyone bothers asking me. Things are finally looking up. The idiot's still unconscious when we march into the study. Though with the rolling pin sitting so completely out of place atop my desk, I'm not shocked. Getting hit by one must have dislodged his brain by a few paces. In fact, I'm already willing to bet he'll be out until sunrise. Here's to hoping the way Shrokin has cuffed him won't damage him first. Being bound like that is guaranteed to cut off circulation in his arms at some point. Painful, but where's the fun in that? He has the gall to walking to my home looking like the little pig fresh off bathing under the sun and rolling in a patch of mud. Just because you're trespassing or about to kill someone doesn't mean you have the right to walk into any people's homes dirty. Really sloshing your muddy boots about and soiling the floor? No wonder he got the metal rolling pin and not the pan. Bloody, even my late mum, bless her poor tortured soul, won't tolerate that. Where are his manners? I swear, people need to stop breaking into my house!
What is wrong with all these lunatics? You'd think they'd put more thought before stumbling into somebody else's home unannounced.
I suppose the act of committing crime must have some attraction to the insane. Of course, you'd know all about that, wouldn't you?
I'd bloody gut you. But you won't be able to clean up after if you're the sorting corpse, will you?
But more than that, the look of pain crosses his pretty face. When I grip his chin with faint glee, he appears familiar. I just can't recall where I've seen his mug before. Certainly not a place I frequent, although for someone who looks, well, still not as good-looking as me, of course, but to some degree decent, he seems to lack the brain capacity and etiquette to complete the package. Disappointing, I might add. With that fancy coat, he better prove interesting to make up for it. Light marks mar his skin when my nails dig into him, and I have to wonder how much more I have to push before I break skin. I don't have time to figure it out, though, as a moment later, the little pig stirs with a soft
I'd
groan.
love to see you try. When was the last time you... Oh, there we go. The Dummkopf is waking up.
Fuck.
Ash.
Huh, awake already. He's only been out a few minutes. Shrokin, did you not hit him hard enough? Shouldn't he be out longer? That rolling pin was made of metal. His skull must be very thick.
I only want to knock him out, not kill him, silly man.
Yeah, silly man.
If I really wished him dead, I could have easily targeted his Terion. That, or the back of his neck, just below the skull. Oh well, look at it this way. It is good news. This means he'll be capable of giving you the answers you seek, yes?
True. I do have many questions for our trespasser here.
At least he does prove to be fun, a little frustrating with his act. Especially when it is my turn. When it was the last time I've had to interrogate anybody. It's been a while, hasn't it? I do hope I haven't gotten rusty. But I do remember the basics, and one of the first things one has to remember is to make sure the poor sap who got the short end of the stick can't fight back.
I'm telling you, you saw that letter, didn't you? I don't know how it works, but everyone who's seen it ends up dead, or in an accident if they don't go missing entirely. I know this sounds crazy, but you have to believe me, and it might even have something to do with why your wife's gone.
And we're back to the madman ramblings.
He believes me, a fool, saying he came here to help me rather than harm. If that isn't the worst excuse I've heard, I don't know what is. I want to make him regret thinking he can play me like a fiddle. I say it time and time again, there's always a certain joie de vivre in having power over another man. Schadenfreude, Johannes calls it. Not an absolute power, mind you. I always like a little spark or spice, a little fire in my poison of choice, whether it's alcohol, food, or sex, or even enemies. Easy is boring. A little challenge never hurt anybody, because there's little point in hurting someone who won't even fight back. There's no satisfaction in trying to win against another who would rather grovel, beg, and cry at one's feet, curled up like a little child wailing for their mother.
And when we're done with him, there's a nice plot of land for new daffodils. You'll make excellent fertilizer. Sounds like a plan, doesn't it?
And where was I? Ah, yes. There's a joy in bringing men like the detective to the brink of despair, to have them realize that they have little power in the face of harsh reality, and making them concede that I am the better man using the business end of my knife.
While we're at it, why don't you be a good boy and close your eyes? I really don't like the way you're looking at me. If looks could kill, really. I think I'd be dead on the spot. Close your pretty little eyes, unless you want me to pluck them out with a spoon.
Some might call me a sadist, and some might go even further and call me a monster. I do admit to the former, and a small part of me fears that I love the thought of being the latter. But at the end of it all, I am just a man who hungers for excitement, for power, for control. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately for him, he passes out not too long into it. Hanging limp from where he's been shackled, blood dripping onto the floor from every wound we've inflicted on him.
Props to little pig, though. All that effort from us, and we still got nothing from him. Tough little bastard.
Either he's been trained for this, or he has simply lost consciousness before he can spill anything. Meanwhile, Shrokin makes a face at the mess we've made, although wisely keeps his mouth shut. He is in no place to complain when I've given him enough freedom tonight, and as he's responsible for this. Without a single comment or a dry quip, he's out of the door, muttering something about getting a disinfectant and some cleaning effects from the kitchen, leaving me in the silence of the room. Or as silent as it can be with a storm raging outside. The winds have intensified, the windows and rafters have begun creaking in earnest. Any harder, and I think this whole house might fall. I hope not. I did not live this long to die helplessly under a bunch of century-old beams collapsing on me. I'd rather be burned alive and condemned for my sins, really. It makes for a great exit when you think about it. Thankfully, it's the thought that doesn't linger long. Soon enough, Shrokin returns, slamming the door open with much force. I almost jump. He looks frazzled, hair and suit in disarray, as if he's just made a mass dash from the kitchen or he's seen a ghost. Although he's still far from a person panicking, it's the closest he can get to it with a wild look in his eyes, and slowly like he's easing into
We have another problem, right?
Again?
Too close to drawing my gun and just shooting him if I didn't have the patience of a saint right here and there. He should be grateful this little activity with the little pig has taken some of the tension I've been carrying since yesterday.
Oh, tell me, Shrokin, Johann. How many more of these little problems are there for me to fix tonight? What the bloody fuck is it this time?
That inner architect we lost?
Inner architect? Didn't my brain translate that right?
Wait, what? Mint?
What about Marianne?
I found her.
To say this doesn't worry me might be a little of an understatement. Her secretary has just called us yesterday looking for her. The last time people have seen of her was at the party here, and suddenly she shows up again in the same place she missing? There will be a whole slew of problems attached to this.
What do you mean you found her? I know her assistant said she's been missing over the weekend, but goodness, did she get locked in? Where? The cupboards? The wine cellar? I know she's Irish and they have a reputation, but that's hilarious if...
Did she sneak in and get stuck in there? Please don't tell me she was just drinking the weekend away down there. This was priceless. I have wished Johannes would just carry her right out there just to make fun of her.
Oh God, where is she? Oh, I've got to see this for myself.
However, there is no humor in the other man's look, even as I nearly bust my gut laughing.
Right. She is dead.
Oh boy.
It is her corpse, and it is not at all a pretty sight.
Now that he's mentioned it, I have noticed a sickly sweet smell wafting from the cellar door in the few times I passed by. I thought that perhaps it was another bottle of wine dropped by another dollar from the staff, but now that this has come to the light, it may be the rank stench of old meat and cheap perfume of a body gradually decaying. And knowing what it is, or rather who it is, makes me want to throw up.
Jesus bloody Christ! How even? Has no one been down there to check the stocks?
Not since the party, no.
And she, what, starved to death down there?
It can't be. It hasn't been long enough for us to starve. It'll take 3 weeks for someone to actually starve to death. Moreover, even if it's just wine, there's plenty for her to drink down there to at least keep her going for the 3 or 4 days she's been down there for.
I did not linger long enough for a proper look. It looks like her head has been nearly cut off. Rather poorly at that. You could take a look if you like.
I don't think I want to see that, no. Yeah, I don't think I want to see that either. How far are we? Are we right here? We're right here. We're going on the lower path again, I think. And then we're going zooming ahead again. Probably. But I can't come up with a witty or scathing denial to his kind offer, not as my mind struggles to just let all this sink in.
Bloody hell! I just want to go to bed. Forget all this shite ever happened. Can this day possibly get any worse?
When you see your wife, it will.
Anyway, let's just get this whole thing over with. The cellar, right? How can a person just die right there?
And unable to answer that question, there's a long while where the both of us are quiet and nothing but the pitter-patter of the rain fills the air while we head for the cellar. All of a sudden, there's nothing funny about this anymore, and taking the gun with me seems like a good call. It seems like a good call to me, too. You can, while you're there, just put a bullet in your own brain, too. Unable to get any information from the detective, Johannes left to find something they could use to clean the bloody mess in the study. When he returned, however, he claimed to have found their missing interior designer in the wine cellar dead, and there they... Fuck. I also need a good drink. Really, if I can, I will not give a flying fuck about this. Johannes can just get rid of the body and be done with it. But whoever had the audacity to leave a dead interior designer, a well-known one at that, in my own home needs to be taken care of. To lead that kind of loose end is dangerous. I'd rather not have a knife in the back while I sleep, and I certainly don't want to be accused of murders I'm not even responsible for. It'll be embarrassing to have trouble because of a frame-up. Jesus Christ, I can feel a headache coming on just already thinking about all of this. How did it come to this? It's one bad look after another. The only thing we did is buy a house, for fuck's sake. I didn't even ask for extras like this. It's a good thing no one comes down here unless there's a need to restock the kitchen wine supply. Not without reason, and not without Johannes or myself ordering them. I don't go down here myself. I may have a penchant for good wine, but I don't go through our supply that fast. Because it's obvious by the smell that something really died in here, and the reality is just sinking into me right now. Going by it alone, it's been there far longer than a dead body should be left stuck in an enclosed space. To sum it up, it's horrendous.
It takes somebody without a nose to get through this horrible stench. Please don't tell me it's not too far from here.
She's just on the other side of this shelf.
Oh, great, more walking.
It's been a while since I last had to tolerate the stench of a rotting corpse. Perhaps for that reason why a whiff of this one comes off worse when it shouldn't. Isn't there some kind of a rule in this? Shouldn't there have been a delay of some sort before it starts smelling this? Or perhaps it's because I'm no longer as used to it as I've been in the past. It has been years. No wonder my first instinct is to balk, my back hitting the wall once her body comes into view, and Shrokin removes the handkerchief covering her face.
Fuck, what the hell happened to you, Mint? Oh, that looks horrid.
Ugh. The animation. Oh, boy. Almost as bad as Isabella's.
She likely died from the wound first.
Where I can easily pretend that the other corpses I've seen in my life are just sleeping, the same does not apply to the other woman. The slit on her neck is a jagged mess. Thanks to the room's humidity, decay has just started. Otherwise, elsewhere, she would have already started rotting, eaten away by maggots long before we even found her. For a moment, once the horrors passed, I considered pinning her death on that little tank. But why should I even? Nobody else knows of her just yet. We can just make her body disappear, along with the detective once we're done with him. That'll be the simpler route. But this will have to be decided later. Suddenly, Shrokin gestures for me from the other side of the passage. Just a few paces away from McCullough, he stands glaring at some part of the wall as if it offended him. I raise an eyebrow into question, but he merely answers with a gesture of his hand.
Another thing you need to see.
And I immediately know why. Where his eyes are trained, a jaw lies slightly ajar. One that shouldn't have been there in the first place. A frown quickly appears in my forehead as I stare on it, and where it offers a small glimpse of the room on the other side. I can barely see anything, but from what little my eyes can catch from beyond the darkness.
Those jail cells?
So it seems, I'm afraid.
Whoa, what? In my own home? Underneath my own house? Right in the place where I sleep and live?
Yeah, pretty much.
You have not been made aware of this?
Obviously, do you see this face? Do I look very happy about this? What else is in there? Bones! Oh, not dead people! Oh, Christ, how many?
Oh boy.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
For someone who is used to putting bullets in other people's heads, you're very cross about this.
Only I get to choose where I have my jail cells.
Oh, what did you expect? There's a dead interior designer over there. Lunatics have been going in and out of my home, and now I find out that there are places in this bloody mansion I haven't been made aware of, full of little surprises for myself or the fucking police.
Okay.
So yes, I am very cross about this, Shrokin. What's next? A magical, mystical, spooky graveyard in my bathroom? Did that estate company know about this? Is that why they had no problems just handing it to us?
You were very eager to buy this place off their hands, though.
I am most definitely not very eager now.
Why don't you think of it this way? At least now you know where those trespassers might be coming from.
I suppose you have a point. How far does this thing go?
Quite a few places, it seems.
There's only darkness on the other side. Fortunately, I'm sober enough to ever think of venturing into this place. Who knows where this will take me? Maybe when I'm drunk I'll be curious enough, but Shrokin has made a valid point, and if this is their point of entry, we'd better look into it and embark it as soon as possible. We've had so many close calls this week, I'm not taking a chance.
Well, get on it! I want wherever this place leads to closed and sealed tightly. We've gotten enough magical surprise trespassers in this house.
Magical Luke. He makes no further comment, but the man does give me another long-suffering look before pushing the door open and stepping into the poorly lit tunnel. There's a bit of struggle at first while he tries to get a stable footing, testing the steps with a few light taps of his sole. Soon he's on his way, his treads echoing loudly inside the empty passage. Curious, I follow after him without crossing the threshold. From where I stand, I can barely see anything apart from the cells closest to the door. There's a light draft blowing from the other end, carrying with it this old, musky smell. I don't want to think what that might be. Merely looking into the cavern gives me chills, as if every shadow there's an eye watching me, calling for me. Eerie. There's no other word for it but eerie. The sound of Shrokin's footfalls abruptly stopping certainly does not help.
Shrokin, how is it?
Silence.
Shrokin.
From somewhere, something scampers. It sounds quickly fading as it moves further from me. Still no response from Johans, however. As aggravating as that man is, I'm beginning to worry.
Johans! I know you're there!
Another breeze blows in. This time, it's as if there's someone whistling on the other end. Or maybe that's my imagination.
Hey, Hans. If this is your idea of a...
I never get to finish that. Before the rest of it slips out of my mouth without any preamble, the door slams shut. And reverberating about the loud thud it leaves in its wake is a scream. Shrill, blood-curdling, almost horrifying the way it sends a sharp chill in every nerve in my body, and along with it is a familiar voice.
Who are you? No, no, no! Stay away! Stay away!
I don't know what's going on the other side. With the door shut tight, showing no sign of budging, no open, no matter how much I push or pull at it, there's no way of knowing. However, the sound filtering through the closed door is enough to make my knees buckle and shake. This isn't fear. I want to believe this isn't fear, but it's definitely the closest I can get to it. Horrid. It's nothing but horrid that I can almost see flesh being ripped apart with every second the noise lingers. I need to get away.
Oh God. Oh God. I am going to sue those people. I am going to sue every bloody goddamn person who sold us this house.
Well, it's not like 5 different people didn't try telling you that this house was freaking haunted.
I need to get my lawyer.
I certainly wasn't expecting this to happen. Stumbling back, the back of my shoes catches on something. My foot slips, sending me tumbling down my hind. It takes a moment before I notice wetness seeping into my pants, another second later to realize it's blood, McCullough's blood. But there's no moment left to feel repulsed by the thick metallic scent as it sends me into the air. How Mint's eyes stare blankly at me. Her laughter is getting close. Without thinking twice, I'm picking myself up from the floor and screaming for the ladder. The smell of blood and rotting corpse be damned. In 5 seconds flat, I have ascended and closed the hatch behind me, bolting it shut with not 1 but 2 locks I can find from the cupboards and throwing the keys away. I don't even consider waiting if I manage to keep whoever it is there. The second lock clicks into place, I'm out of the damn kitchen. Running as quick as I can, as if any minute whoever's finished off Shrokin will jump up from the cellar and grab me. At some point in my panic, I've also drawn my pistol, the closest thing I have to comfort after that. Who is she? Shrokin says he doesn't recognize her from my description. An outsider, a daughter of another businessman that holds a grudge with me? I seriously can't remember who, if she is. There are plenty of them. There's Suarez, but Kylie's a darling child. She will never hurt Tio Luke. Who then? The only person I can think of right now who can just gives me little answers is that little pig who should be soundly asleep at the study. That fucking mongrel's in on this, isn't he? Working together with that woman, getting caught on purpose so he can distract us and get to me. And what of Hana? What did they do to her? A bullet to the head is least he deserves for creating this nightmare.
That's right, my love.
He should be stoned to death.
You don't need that.
Burned. To make up for every single wrong he's done.
All the wrong made to us.
Upon my entrance, the door leading to the foyer bursts open with a loud clap, accompanied by the rumbling of thunder outside. The downpour has intensified, and lightning streaks across the night sky more frequently than hours before. Let's check the branching tree. The tree of all branches. Where are we? Oh, we're still here, okay. Still a little bit more to go. I ignore all of it, heading straight for the stairs with only my purpose in mind. And her whispers leading me, calling me, beckoning.
We don't need that.
But short of my foot taking on the first step upstairs, the noise to my left distracts me, briefly halting my movements, but curiosity takes over every murmur in my head. And it's a good thing, perhaps, because it did. Because as soon as I look up, I see him, the detective, just as he's about to jump down from furniture that somehow ended up piled blocking the door to the parlor. What's happened there? And did he really think getting out of the house would be that easy?
Teach him, my lord. Put him in his place.
My feet are already moving before any rationale can stop me. I hand firm at my gun when I finally release the safety from it and take aim at him. My finger on the trigger is more than itching to shoot, but I hold back. More than seeing him bleed, I want to see the expression on his face once he realizes everything he's doing is futile. He's trapped. His life is in my hands. Well, aren't you as incompetent as I thought? Or, well, you aren't as incompetent as I thought. I can tell the exact moment the realization dawns on him. A short second of his body is freezing and blood drowning from his face as soon as his feet hits the floor. He wastes no time in drawing his own gun, but by then it's too late. He's already a prey, trapped by his own recklessness. Still, he glares at me. Still, he fights back.
Now, little pig. Manners. You're in no position to be pointing that gun at people.
There's no desperation in him like I'm hoping, just an annoyance flickering shortly before being hidden underneath like a challenge. The likes of him are the kind of people I hate the most. Even with their failures already glaring down at them, mocking every worthless move they make, they have the impudence to stare people in the eye.
Why don't you put yours down first, and then we'll talk about manners.
Oh, he talks back. The gall! You know, your kind pisses me off so much.
Annoying most of the time, like a damn pest you can't be rid of. But to some degree, it is commendable. I'll give him that. After all, we're almost the same in that regard. Almost. I'm still the better person, of course. He tells me to put the gun down, but I see no reason why I should. I'm a homeowner in defense of my own home. I have the right to, I'd like to think. Questionable permit of firearms aside. Bloody peasants. Even knowing that, I can never seem to figure out how their minds fully work. And I should have also expected he won't let this kind end in this kind of standstill.
Sorry about this. I really don't have time for you.
A short lapse, it's all it is. 1 minute of letting my guard down. Before I can react, he fires 2 shots in quick succession, sound crackling through the empty foyer almost as loud as the storm raging outside, breaking the tense air in the room. Pain explodes in my wrist, no 2 seconds later, just a graze. However, it is enough to cause my fingers to tense and the pistol slides to the floor with a dull thud.
Why, you insolent!
The next moments happen in a blur. In the following second, I am being tackled bodily to the ground, back hitting the cold floor hard and an arm hitting me down by the neck. There's a fleeting moment of panic and struggle while I try to untangle myself from him before he manages to knock me out. And then, a scream. A wail piercing through the thick air. Shrill and sharp enough for the both of us to cover our ears and hunker down on our knees. And with each sharp note beating harshly against my head, are the images again, faces and voices so utterly unfamiliar, seeping into every crevice, turning sinister with each shift. They are not mine, but they might as well be with how vivid and crisp they appear. Over and over they all flash blind beyond my eyes until it becomes unbearable, pounding, throbbing, thudding against my skull worse than any headache a hang can ever give. Hangover. Bloody, I'll take this hangover over this any day. A haze begins to fill my vision as black spots dance around the corners of my eyes. Beside me, the detective silently falls, muttering something quietly to himself as something distinctly red flows from under him. Blood, perhaps. In the blurry mist of my vision, it doesn't quite register. Nothing does, except for the voice unexpectedly ringing above the discord, and then I finally gather the strength to look up. Everything falls away into the background. All that matters is her.
I told you, didn't I?
That is so fucking creepy.
Everything you're doing is useless, Ashton Frey. And now, you're dying. Alone. Meddlesome fool. How does dying alone feel, Ashton Frey?
Hannah?
Oh, Luke. Darling, my love. What do you think you're doing out here this late?
The woman that stands there is the one I married, the love of my life. So why is it that the look she gives me now makes me feel so revolted? It makes it so that there is just a general sense of wrongness in the way she smiles at me. Not that any of this still matters, weak as I am, with the headache crushing my skull, bearing down on me with a weight that leaves me gasping. Soon, despite my efforts to fight it, the entire room tilts forward and the floor rises to meet my face. Dots. Where are we? We're right here. Then it's smooth sailing until the very end. My whole body seizes with a gas violent enough to wake me. I don't want to see this. This is gonna freak the shit out of me. Just as soon, my eyes fling open, looking wildly around, searching for that familiar, sickening smile. There's a brief moment of confusion when I don't find her and see only an empty room before me. The storm still rages outside with a draft sweeping into the room from the balcony door I'd forgotten to close last night. In the far-off horizon, lightning cuts sharply through the dark sky, illuminating everything in sight before disappearing with a boom of thunder at its heels.
A dream. It must have been a dream.
Yet it all feels too real. The migraine still pounding in my head starts to remind me of that, though maybe it's because I haven't eaten anything since this afternoon. Coupled with everything going on in this bloody mansion this past week, I no longer have any doubts what this is. Stress. Just stress. What else can it be? Everything will pass soon. This headache will be gone tomorrow along with every fucking problem, and all will be well.
Fucking nightmares.
The expensive mattress and pillows feel heavenly under my tired body when I flop back down to it. Burying my face in the soft Egyptian cotton and simply laying still makes the idea of sleep especially inviting. Closing my eyes, I barely notice as the weight on the bed shifts. Not until I feel a body pressing at my side.
Are you awake?
Hana. So, Shrokin has finally found her. Good. Another problem off my list then. I want to give a sarcastic reply, but it's hard to give one when I'm laying down on my stomach with my face buried in a pillow. Besides, I'm hardly in the mood for conversation and she should be resting. So I keep quiet, hoping that Hana will just go back to sleep. She usually does if I pretend to be out of it long enough. Though pretending to be asleep is difficult when she puts her face in the crook of my neck and places light butterfly kisses. My cat. I swear, if we look up and we see that freaking ghost staring at us. A bit of silence passes, but she shows no sign of going back to sleep. That makes it so I can't fall asleep as well. Who can do that while someone is staring at them? I'm about to call her out on it when she speaks up.
It feels like a terribly cruel dream, my prince. I do not even dare avert my eyes if I can. To do so, I'm afraid that you might be spirited away.
Confusion isn't quite enough to describe what comes to mind when I hear her words, but I also feel as if disturbed is too strong a word. Yet, I cannot deny the unsettling feeling that worms its way into my stomach. I have to remind myself that this is Hana. I have nothing to worry about at all from her, for all her faults and misgivings. She is possibly the only person I can have, and will truly trust in this world. So why does it feel so wrong when her hand touches mine? To be repulsed at my own wife for no apparent reason is illogical, yet her mere presence has been disturbing. From her sudden, devoted, and near-dependent nature, her obsession and possessiveness to her strange way of speaking, something has been wrong with Hana as of late. I don't want to admit it, but it was almost as if she'd turned into another person overnight. Spiders, all spindly and eat sharp legs, and maggots, slick and slimy and dreadful, march across my skin. Revulsion and a general sense of wrong comes to mind.
You promised you would be here again. Someday. We were afraid that you never would.
Wrong.
We've been alone here, you see, in our home, our special place. Waiting for you.
Wrong.
After all this time, finally you've come.
Wrong.
And now we'll all be together. Forever.
Even her laughter's wrong, wrong, wrong. I want to scream. I want to scream too. You're not alone. Cat. The power was off when... Oh dear God, that face. When Luke woke up, brushing away the bad dreams, he tried to sleep them off until Hannah's familiar warmth pressed by his side, and she began whispering disturbing words against his ears. Go up, Cat. Run, leave this place, but my limbs won't move, pinned hard against her as she caresses my arm. Her laughter only grows louder, echoing in my head until... What the fuck? A curious local discovers an eerily empty mansion months later. With its new owners having disappeared into thin air, whispers quickly spread across Luxborn City. Officers who investigated it have found only smears of blood on the walls and floors, nothing else. Eventually, they have deemed the mystery of the Ermengarde mansion as another tragedy brought upon the city by the Anselm Butcher. But for those who still believe in the stories of the old and those who know the truth, it is but a testimony to the curses and the secrets of the Ermengarde mansion has hidden for centuries. If there will be a time, those will be finally revealed. Only the halled halls of the mansion know. To this day, it stands silent. However, on nights when the wind howls and thunder booms across the sky, some still claim hearing of voices within, of cries and wails that fill the nights and desperate calls of help for anyone who dares listen. Dots. And that's the end of the death run.
I knew the game was over before the rules were set. I've never
Everyone is now gone. All hope has been lost. There is no chance at discovering what lies deep within. My name is Eclepid, and it's been real.
People can lie, but my lone
thoughts.
Tio? Where are you, Tio?
Oh no.
Tio? Please? She's here! She's still here, Tio!
Oh god.